Welcome to the first official compilation video on the channel. I've had a lot of y'all asking me to make some type of compilation video, so here is 3 hours of the best sneaking out stories I've posted on the channel so far. And to start out the video, we have the story of the time I snuck out and ran from 3 different police squadrons in one night. Have you ever heard of the butterfly effect? How one small event can cause a chain reaction of bigger events, kind of like pushing over some dominoes? Well, what if I told you the mere act of pushing over a sign led to me and my best friend running from 3 different police squadrons for over 2.5 hours? Well, in order to understand how we got here, we're gonna need to go all the way back to my 8th grade summer. I was only 14 years old at the time, and me and my best friend James would sneak out any chance we got. On some Batman stuff, the night just called to us. We even had specific uniforms we would wear every single time we snuck out, and we didn't wear them anywhere else besides sneaking out. But if you watch any of my videos or TikToks, you will know that sneaking out never came without a price for us. It was a late afternoon in the summer of my 8th grade year. I had just finished eating dinner and I went back to my room and got on my phone to see a text message from my best friend James. Me and him had been trying to hang out all day, but his mom did not want him coming over, so he was texting me to let me know that we couldn't hang out today. Unless, of course, I wanted to wait a couple hours into the night, sneak out, meet up, go on an absolute rampage and do whatever. And 14-year-old me literally only needed to see the word sneak out in that text message, and I was more than down to go. Because the thing about sneaking out is if you have strict parents, it makes it 20,000 times more fun, because strict parents put all sorts of restrictions on you. It's like living in like a video game world where you only have this much of the map and everything outside of it is locked, gray, inaccessible. You can't get there. Sneaking out is like a cheat code that allows the full map to get there. Cheat code, hack, whatever you want to call it. It unlocks free play, full map. You can do whatever you want without someone breathing down your neck. So when 13-year-old me started sneaking out, I never looked back because I always had so many restrictions on me. And so me and James would sneak out literally any chance we got. But some nights were a lot more fun than others, as y'all saw in my last video. So regardless though, I texted back James telling him I was more than down to sneak out. Me and him did a little bit more planning, and then I just needed to wait for my parents to go to bed so I could sneak out. But finally, my parents yelled down the hallway saying they were going to bed. And so I waited a good 45 minutes just to make sure my dogs and my parents were actually asleep, so that way I couldn't risk being caught by anybody. And then I sprung out of bed, jumped up, and started getting my fit together. Because I mentioned previously that I had a uniform for sneaking out. This was because in the state of Idaho, if you're a minor below the age of 18 and you go outside past midnight, you can get arrested. Most of the time you will get arrested. Bare minimum, they're going to call your parents and you are going to get in a bunch of trouble. And so we had a lot of run-ins with cops because we were doing a lot of bad things. And so what we ended up figuring out is we only want one description of us that will never be tracked to us. So we got together this bunch of clothes that none of us would wear outside of the house. It wouldn't even come out of my closet during daylight. It was a black American Eagle hoodie, a pair of black Fila sweatpants, and black NMDs. I would wear this every time I went out, sometimes with a black mask and black gloves, depending what we were doing that night. So that was the only description cops would ever have, and I never ever wore that fit to school, not one item of it. They would never have any footage of me in those clothes, so that person would never be associated with me. And James had the same exact setup, so we would just never be caught. And so after I got my fit together, I texted James to let him know that I was ready, because the thing with James' phone was it only worked in Wi-Fi. He was actually not even supposed to have a phone until high school, and this was our 8th grade summer, so he just bought a phone off of one of our friends and it only worked in Wi-Fi. So me and him needed to make sure that we actually left the house at the same time, because we lived remotely close to each other. We were just about 2 miles away, and there was a park right in the middle of our houses, just this dog park. So we figure we both need to leave at the same time and get to this dog park at the same time as well, because it was the middle of the night. And so we wanted to make sure that we got to that park at the same time, because having to wait around alone in the nighttime in just the hopes that your other friend shows up is terrifying. It's so scary. And so eventually I got a text from James saying that he was about to leave for the park. So I got ready, I threw together my entire fit, put it on, and then I got this body pillow and another hoodie. I put the hoodie on top of the body pillow, put a bucket hat inside of the hood to make it look like I was sleeping, and then I grabbed my shoes and started to slowly creep out the hallway. But my house had wooden floors, and it was like the top level of the house, and so they creaked terribly. But I had been sneaking out so many times that I had a map in my head of what spots I needed to step on, so I was basically just jumping around on my feet super lightly trying to get out of the house. Then once I got to the sliding door, I was super quiet about sliding it out to make sure my dogs did not bark, because they had done that a lot of times and I had to run back to my room and play dead for 30 minutes just to make sure I was good. And so once I got that open quietly, I stepped stepped outside, popped on my shoes, and started to walk over to my fence line. But the problem with my fence line and getting to the street is there is a series of motion lights on not only my house, but also the neighbors, as well as some Ring cameras. So I had to take this very, very specific route in order to not set off any of these. I had to walk over straight to my gate, hop my gate by my house, that way I wouldn't set off my neighbor's motion lights on the other side. Then once I got to slightly like the middle of my fence, I would have to hop over that to not set off ours or the other neighbors' ones onto their actual garage and driveway. Then I would have to walk down that, dead sprint all the way down my like road until my house was out of sight, just to make sure I didn't set off anything or be seen. It was straight off like some special Black Ops spy mission every single time I had to do it. It would get me feeling like I was James Bond. I would already have so much adrenaline pumping through my veins the second that I got into that street, and then I would just take off, start sprinting till my house was out of sight, and then I would walk over to the park that we were meeting up at. I got to the park a little bit before James did, which didn't really surprise me because I lived just under a mile away from the park and he lived just over a mile away from the park. But I was just really happy to see him pull up because sneaking out with friends is very fun, you know? Worst case scenario, you either get caught by your parents or have to run away from some cops. Sneaking out alone is terrifying. Bare minimum, at all times, you're sprinting away from your demons and voices in your head whispering sweet nightmares to you. You'll get so paranoid that you'll be more paranoid than Mr. Beast after Chris Tyson got exposed and tried to take down the whole channel with them. It is a problem. And if you look behind your back one time, you might as well be schizophrenic because you'll be trying to look back every 5 seconds and you'll be so paranoid about all of your surroundings until the second you get home. So I was so happy to see James there because I was not trying to stay out there alone before the schizophrenic stage kicked in. So me and him meet up, we start talking about what we were going to do next. Then this is when James told me that on his phone at his house, he was trying to set up a bunch of different moves and was texting a bunch of different chicks as well as he found out about a party. And so I let him sign into Snapchat on my phone so that way we could try and figure out, you know, what the move for the night was. And this dude, whenever we were trying to find any type of move for the night, he turned into like a bot account trying to promote his OnlyFans. He would group snap every single person in the state of Idaho and then also post on his story and just wait for replies. And so he was already doing the process of this before we got to the park. So we already had hella replies to scroll through because this man already had it down to a science. I mean, we both did it, but he literally had it down to some type of science. It was crazy. And we would pick through all of these texts like a manager looking through job applications. We would scroll through every single one until we found the right fit for our night. Make sure it was a good move. And so we were picking through a bunch of these resumes, but we were mainly just looking for the address to this party James mentioned, and eventually we found the address. Just to avoid confusion, the last story I told on my page took place over at my mom's house. My mom and dad are divorced, so I had a separate house, and this story takes place at my dad's house. I do not live at my dad's house anymore, but he still does, so I'm not going to use his address. For the starting point of this story, we'll be using the dog park as just everything to calculate distance. And if you're enjoying the video, make sure to subscribe, but let's get back to the video. So we popped it in Google Maps and it was over 5 miles away in downtown Coeur d'Alene. This was absolutely detrimental to us because since we had to sneak out separately and meet up, we were starting our night way later than we normally do. And that is a big problem because as I've explicitly said in my videos, if you're out past midnight in the state of Idaho, you can just get arrested. And so this was really bad for us because by the time it was past midnight, we were going to be in the main part of the town where everything was still open, like bars, restaurants, anything with food, which was the main spot cops would be patrolling at as well. So since we had to sneak out so late, we were basically just gonna have to run from any cop that we saw, or we might have to call our parents, and it was just a risk we did not have to take. So that's why we normally tried to stay on this bike path, because this bike path went through almost the majority of my town, and there was like minimal light. There wasn't a single street light on this bike path, so you could easily slip away from cops on there, and if you were seen, you could easily run away as well. It was just always the spot we need to be at. So we started trying to walk there from the dog park, and it was just under a mile away from this dog park, but we got there fairly quickly because we had to keep a really good pace in order to actually make it downtown before it was too late for us to get back home and like be caught. So we had to be walking extremely fast and make extremely good pacing to get downtown. So we got on that bike path and we started walking down there. We were walking on it for a good amount of time before we started to realize that this bike path did take us downtown, but it took us to the complete wrong side of downtown. So if we continued on the bike path, we would most likely have to add an extra hour to our walk. So that just couldn't happen. We were going to have to cut across going the other way, but the other way across town, the quicker way, was going to be on all of the roads that cops mainly patrol, because the roads were directly next to the freeway and every single exit ramp and on ramp where all the cops were going to be. Not only that, but it was also by every restaurant, every bar, every parking lot, and like the gas station that cops get gas at, as well as the police station. So it was literally just impossible to avoid cops. We knew we were going to have to run into them, but we just had to be smart about it. Thankfully, we decided to stop at this one park that had complete cover from the road. It was just surrounded by trees and darkness, and there was no way cops could see where we were from the road. And so we're trying to make this decision of going across the easiest way or adding an hour to our walk, which is a pretty easy decision. But we're about to cross the road into like that main part where all of the businesses and just the main strip of town is. And right across from this street, though, that's where the police gas station is. And the reason I keep calling it police gas station, I don't know if it's like this in other states, but in my town, there are only 2 gas stations that police officers can get gas at, and one of them was directly across the road from this park we were at. So we figure we should probably go another mile down this bike path because that would lead us to this apartment complex, and we could hop the fence into that apartment complex, and then we'd basically be good from there. So we started walking, and we were on a tight schedule, so we ended up jogging because whenever we were on a really tight schedule while sneaking out, we would just jog and keep a good pace for as long as we could. So we jogged that entire mile down to that apartment complex, hopped the fence, and we ran through their parking lot, hopped over another fence, and then got into this field. And this field was probably about a good 7 feet into the in the ground. It went down, like there was a slanted hill on any side of it that went about 7 feet into the ground, and it was pitch black, and it was probably about an acre. So there again was no way we could be seen in there. So we decided to just stop our pace and start walking for a little while so we could catch our breath, because once we got to the end of this field, we were gonna have to cross a road and go into the Winco parking lot and then go into a chain of other parking lots and businesses. And after this field, we would have 0 cover, so there was a chance we were gonna have to run. So we needed as much energy as possible. So we're walking through this field trying to catch our breath, and eventually we get up to the slanted hill that goes into like the main road we need to cross. And there is a shit ton of traffic going across this road, but we need to cross obviously, so we're looking up and down, but it's just not stopping. Eventually we see a break in traffic, so we're getting ready to go, but something tells us to just wait a couple seconds, and then eventually we see a straggling car come up right behind them and go behind them, and it takes about 5 seconds for us to see that that was a cop car coming right off of the freeway exit ramp, because this field was directly next to the exit ramp of the freeway that led to the police's gas station. So there was constant fluctuation of cops, because there was also the other road that was the main strip of town. So there was cops were just always lurking around here, and it was close to the police station, like I said. And so we waited a second, that cop flies by, and we're like, oh god, that could have been so bad. And then we took off flying across into the Winco parking lot, which technically James was banned from Winco, so if he was caught on their property, he would be arrested and charged. But on the other hand, if we got caught anywhere else in this town by a cop, we would bare minimum be either arrested or detained with our parents called. So this was still somehow a better option. And thankfully, after Winco, there was a series of parking lots that were all pretty connected, but not all parking lots. It was also just businesses, apartments, just public areas where we could easily walk in the shadows and didn't have to be on the direct side of the road. So that was exactly what we did. After we went through the Winco parking lot, we had to go through a bank parking lot and then through some apartment complexes, but we knew exactly what we were doing, and we had a route where we could weave through without being seen. And in my town, there is rarely people out at nighttime. Like, it's mainly just cops patrolling, and it is not weird for it to seem like a ghost town with no other cars driving around in the nighttime. But it was a weekday, and there was so much traffic out, and it was now just past midnight, so that was very weird for my town. And since there was a lot more traffic at night, there was also a lot more cops in the area. So we were seeing a bunch of cops patrolling, and because there was a lot of traffic, and we didn't know if they were seeing us, but they didn't seem to be paying attention to us, so we were just moving as quickly, as quietly, and like as silently as we could, trying to avoid being seen by them. And so we were walking through a series of parking lots, sometime having to go on the sidewalk, but very rarely we were trying to stay in the shadows as much as we could, until eventually we walked through the Lowe's parking lot and into another parking lot right on the side of the highway. The connected parking lots stretched for about 1.5 miles up this road, but thankfully we only needed to go about 1 mile up the road because there was traffic at every single intersection and as far up and down every single road we looked at. And we were waiting at the highway intersection trying to cross it, so we had to wait until there was a good gap in traffic, but eventually we ran up and across that. And we were both talking about how weird it was that there was a bunch of traffic because, as I mentioned earlier, not only do I live in a smaller town, but it was also 2020 at peak COVID and like quarantine, so there was no reason that there should have been this many people out. But we waited till there was a good gap, sprinted across that highway, got up into the Walgreens parking lot and started walking up that. But shortly after we got out of the Walgreens parking lot, this is when the parking lots kind of started to stop, and it turned more into just fast food restaurants and other like smaller parking lots, but they were very out in the open, and we were a lot more having to walk on sidewalks, and it was way more well lit because of all of the fast food restaurants that were around the area. So we were basically just out in the open and walking. And so we were walking up, and eventually we got to Taco Bell, and this is when things started to get very, very bad very quick, because we had been jogging at a very consistent pace for a very long time because we needed to get to this park party as quickly as possible. And so since we were running this much, me and James both started to get extremely thirsty. And so we ran up and saw Taco Bell, and we're like, oh my gosh, we need to go get some water up in here. But the thing is, since I live in a smaller town, not many restaurants stay open past midnight. Only like 3 to 4 of them do, and Taco Bell closed at midnight. But it was like just past midnight. We looked in there, we saw that some employees closing down, and so we're like, you know what, we got to try this. So we went ahead and walked up to the door, and to our surprise, it swung right open. So we walked in there, and that's when all the employees looked up at us like we were committing some type of war crime. All of them, I'm not kidding, like probably 4 or 5 workers all at the same time started yelling over each other, trying to get us to get out, and they were all walking towards us at this point. Hey, get out of the store, get out of the store, we're closed. We're like, hey. We managed to finesse our way into getting both of ourselves some water cups, and then James ended up needing to use the bathroom, so he went ahead and used the bathroom. We got our water cups, then we headed up out of there, and after our quick pit stop, we were ready for the rest of the night because we had just under a minute walk until the road we were turning on, which was going to put us just about 2.5 miles away from the party we needed to get to. And we were not making terrible timing. We just got some water in our system. We are feeling good. So we exit from the Taco Bell, and we were about probably like, I want to say 30-40 feet away from the stoplight and crosswalks. We're like, you know what, we're just going to run around the street right now just so we don't got to wait at the crosswalk or anything, just make better timing, you know. So we sprint across the street because there were no cars coming at the time, and we get across and we take the corner onto the street we needed to get to at the intersection where the stoplight was. As we're walking around down past that, randomly there were it's super weird because the road that we were on, I've been trying to explain, it's literally just businesses and like fast food restaurants, and there's nothing like residential, no one lives there. It's literally just businesses and stuff like that. But behind this tire shop with a bunch of other just businesses and whatever, there was I want to say 4 or 5 houses or just properties or just some place where people were living or storing stuff, or I don't even know, they just look like places people were living, not business areas. And they all had their own fencing too. It's literally just this small section of what looked like it could have been a neighborhood, but it was hidden away behind all these buildings. I had never seen this in my life until me and James just walked across at this corner, and there happened to be one of those signs, one of those plastic triangle signs that just said for lease or whatever, standing up right there. And so James walks up to this thing and he just pushes it over. He's like, he just throws that thing to the ground, claps onto the ground. We start to keep walking till all of a sudden we just hear a screech behind us, tires are just all of a sudden to stop right behind us. And so all of a sudden we just hear someone go, hey, pick that shit up. And so James jumps up, turns around with both of his fingers already flipped, both of his hands are already flipping off whoever's in this car. He jumps up, turns around, and that's when we see that it was a cop car. Not just any cop car. This was an unmarked, completely all blacked out, undercover cop car with 2 officers sitting in it as well. And they were both looking at us. And I'm fairly sure that when we were at Taco Bell, we just sprinted across the road, completely illegally crossed it. I'm 95% sure that they saw us do that. And then they went to investigate, what we were doing, because we were obviously young kids sprinting across the road. It's past midnight. So they went to investigate what we were doing, saw James push over that sign. And if that wasn't enough for them to determine we were up to no good in the middle of the night, and that they should look into it, James immediately jumped over, flipped him off, and cussed him out. So that was definitely more than enough for them to determine, oh, these kids are definitely not doing anything good outside. So they flipped on their lights, immediately started trying to go for us, and they were yelling at us and whatever. But me and James immediately, our stomachs dropped at the same time that we both jumped up and did a 180 to start sprinting back around towards that kind of residential area I was talking about with all those houses. And we had never even been in this area on foot, and we didn't even know this specific section where these houses were even existed. This was just fresh map to us. We didn't even know where we were at. We just unlocked this area. So we're sprinted through there. We don't know where we're at, but we just know if we hop some fences, we'll eventually lose them. So we start hopping these fences around these houses, but there was just one road in this entire area, and it circled around the houses that we were at. So every single time that we would hop a fence, we would hop it right as the cop was circling around the area, and he would see us, so we'd have to hop back over. And most of the time, James would be in front of me, so he would hop the fence. He'd be like, oh, no, don't hop. He would hop back over. Then we would run back, try to go around the same area, and it would happen again. It was it was just a game of cat and mouse, just happening over and over again with us hopping over, seeing the cop, he'd see us, we'd hop back over, until eventually we were running, and I saw this gap in these fences. It was 2 fences with just enough space in between them that it could fit one person, you know what I'm saying? And so we both squeezed into there because we had to make sure that both of us could fit in there because it was our only option. So we both squeeze in there, we get in there real tight, we hunker down, and then we can see the cop still. He's circling around, and then eventually we see him go off of that loop road and just go firing it down, gasses it down this freeway ramp down the road, thinking that we took off that way. And he starts to turn his lights off after he gets further, but he's speeding. I can tell he's still looking for us, you know what I'm saying? And so we see that, and our adrenaline is pumping, but like we can finally take a breath. Like, no way, we lost him. That was so lucky. I cannot believe that just happened. That was so close. But this was just the start of our problems. We waited for another 5 minutes because we're like, okay, we got to make sure that this cop is gone. We're in a very, very like public area, you know, like this is a very like area where a bunch of cops are going to be flying by. So we need to make sure we're not seen. We just need to stay here for a second, make sure no cops are around. And also the other thing was the road that we needed to turn on had a freeway ramp, and we could not get caught on top of this bridge over the freeway, or we were going to get caught there, you know, like stuck by the cops. But we needed to get moving fast, because what I immediately assumed happened was after that first cop lost track of us, we got away from him and he started gassing it down that other road. I assume he called backup because, as I explained earlier, we had those sneaking out uniforms that we would always wear and cops recognized. So after he saw that both of us were together and got away from him, I'm pretty sure that they just immediately called backup on us to try to get us caught, because we were always doing something not good, just always in the night, just like wreaking havoc on the town, you know? And so it was real bad. I'm like, he definitely called backup on us. We need to get out of here fast, because we're just sitting around basically just waiting to get caught at this point, because we do not want to stay in the same spot. And we've been looking at this road over this fence and we have not seen a single set of cop lights or even cars passing by. So we know our window's closing and we got to get going fast. So we hopped over that fence and got onto that freeway bridge and just sprinted across that thing, because we didn't want to get caught up by cops. But it was weird because it was extremely busy. There was a bunch of traffic and cops out, but the second that a cop tried to chase us, we didn't hear or see a single car on this road after that. It got dead silent. It was eerily quiet and it was creepy. And so we got off of that freeway bridge. We didn't see any cops. Our anxiety was starting to go away. And so we continued to walk down this road until all of a sudden, right ahead, I see some headlights coming towards us. And cops have very, very specific headlights. If you pay attention to it enough, you will notice it. And so I'm like, oh my God, I think that's a cop up there. James, is that a cop? He looks up, he's like, oh, that's definitely a cop. That's definitely a cop. So we turn around to just go a different direction. That's when we see another cop coming over the freeway bridge we just crossed. So now we have to analyze our options really fast to decide where we're going to go. And all of a sudden I see a parking lot ahead of us. So we start sprinting. We get to that parking lot just before the both of them do. One of the officers pulls in, and like the first guy comes chasing at us, practically trying to pit maneuver us before we can get to the fence at the end of the parking lot. The second officer completely blocks off the exit so that way we can't run away like around the other side. And James is in front of me. I'm right behind him. He's running over to that fence to like about to hop it, but this is a completely barbed wire fence because, you know, it's enclosing like an abandoned water park, so they don't want anyone getting up and in there. But if you don't know, barbed wire fences are super easy to hop if you go right by where the gate is, because the barbed wire is straight across. It doesn't come like out towards you, so it's super easy to hop. James ran over straight to that gate. He jumps on it, immediately hops it. I was right behind him. My pants got caught on it and ripped him like right above my knee. And the cop was literally probably about 5 feet behind us by the time we both hopped that and started sprinting into the darkness of where this water park used to be. We're just fucking standing in the middle of this completely pitch black field, and everything is so dark. And all of a sudden, we both get on the same page, because we're like, these cops know exactly where we are. They know the general vicinity of where we've been and the direction that we're going, because we keep trying to walk this way. And where we were happened to be between both of the Coeur d'Alene police departments. So we are not going to this party anymore. There is absolutely no way. If we start walking towards the direction of this party, we'll be walking over to what's technically the other police station, meaning that they'll start sending more cops from the second police station over in our direction. So we'd technically just be walking over to basically just getting arrested, detained. Nothing good was in that direction. But if we stayed where we were, this was technically closer to the other police station. So they would be sending more cops to that area from that police station. Like, no matter what, it was not good. But they knew where we were going, so we figured we just need to get completely out of here. This is not good. We're trapped in an abandoned water park. They know where we are. We got to get moving. So we run across that field and we hop the fence out of like the abandoned water park. And this thing was right on like where the freeway was, as well as a bridge over the freeway. And we saw how things went on that last freeway bridge. So we're like, there was absolutely no way we're crossing over there. We are running across the freeway. It was the middle of the night. There was not too much traffic at all, because like I said, I live in a smaller town. And so we hopped that barbed wire fence. We start running down like the slope of the hill down into the actual freeway. We run across that, hop the barriers, and we go underneath the bridge, because the bridge that went over the freeway was also the other highway. So we did not want to cross the highway. There was going to be a lot of cops on there, because that was the road from like where they would be coming from the police station, a lot of them. And so we go underneath that and start walking up, because like, okay, where are we going to go? All I'm seeing is cops, because we started seeing some cops fly above that bridge that we were just on. We heard their lights and just heard them go right past towards that water park that we were just at. So they all knew where we were. These people seemed like they had better better comms than like Prime Ninja when he was playing in stream. I'm like, it was bad. They were literally calming up way too good. They could find us easily, and they were sending so many officers super quickly, and they were on us badly and wanted to catch us. But sadly, they wanted to catch us. We needed to get away. They didn't play around when it came into finding us, but we just were tryhards at getting away. We could not get caught. We could not get in trouble. We needed to get away. And so we saw that all those cops were going that way. So like, okay, we clearly need to like hide out. We can't be on the sidewalk. We can't be anywhere in sight, but we're in a really bad spot for this because everywhere is just sidewalks and in sight. But just up the road, there was going to be like this string of hotels, and those hotels didn't have any underground parking. They just had intricate like parking lots that were all fenced off from one another, so it was perfect to hide in there. So we just had to get across like this gas station, and I think one other thing before we got to those actual hotels themselves. Sadly, as we were walking across that gas station and everything, a cop saw us and started coming for us, so we sprinted all the way over there as fast as we could, hopped that fence, and then the cops started coming into the actual complex with us. And so every single time that we would hop a fence, we would get up elevated enough to see more lights in a different area. It seemed like no matter what area we were looking, there was more cop lights coming from somewhere, and like it was just getting worse and worse and worse. I felt like I had 5 stars in GTA and was somehow still rising to like 10 or something. I don't even know. I was breaking new heights, reaching new grounds, and it was just not a good situation. My stress is at an all-time high. So was James. But we can't even stop for a second or we get caught. It was such a bad situation. And so we're hopping all these fences, and eventually we're like, okay, we can't sit to get caught. More cops are coming down each side of the road. We just need a break for it because we're at the last string of like hotels. So the second we hop out of this complex, we just have to run. And so the other cop was coming in through there. We saw the lights around the actual complex. So we hopped out of that right as one of the cops was coming around. We technically trapped him inside of the actual parking lot complex, so he couldn't get out. He was fenced in, had to go all the way back out around. As we did that, we sprinted across the road and into the Lowe's parking lot, but we weren't heading to Lowe's. The whole reason that we were heading this way is because there was this apartment complex right in between Lowe's and Winco that was fairly inaccessible from the side of the street we were on. And if you've ever lived in apartment complexes in general, you know that they're impossible to navigate. Like, you try and order a pizza to your apartment complex and your actual building number, it's like winning the lottery if they actually deliver it right. Like, it is a maze to get through them. So leading cops here meant that they were not going to be able to get through it, especially since the way that this complex was like built, it was like a bunch of apartments in a circle around a field where there was a playground. So if we ran straight through that, it was going to be very hard for them to get to the other side of the apartments where there was another parking lot. So we sprinted straight through there, and the entire time that we're running across the street through Lowe's, hopping all these fences, essentially from the water park, we are dead sprinting. And by the time I get to Lowe's and to where this apartment complex is, me and James both feel like our bodies are about to give out. Like, we are exhausted. We haven't had water since that Taco Bell water cup. We're dehydrated. We've been dead sprinting. We feel sore. Everything is just not going good for us, but we're still getting away. So we're in the center of this apartment complex. We're kind of thinking of where to go, because by the time that we're continuously running through like that field where that thing is until the where the park is, until that actual parking lot on the other side where the other street is, once we get to that street, our only option is going to be either left or right. It is a massive hill right behind where Winco is, where we can either go right into where this neighborhood is and it's just a maze and it's not good, or down this hill to the left where it's just going to be another main road where all the cops are going, where it's just not good. And we're standing here trying, like, well, we're not standing, we're like jogging, running, sprinting, whatever you want to call it, and these cops I know are going to be coming from either side of this road that we're sprinting to in a matter of less than 60 seconds, because we turned around and we saw on the far side where we just came from, where Lowe's parking lot is, there, it's just purple. There are so many cops over there on that side that it's just purple. Like, walls are getting painted purple. It's bad. We're like, that's a lot of cops. They're going to be coming around the other side. We need to think. And so it's literally right or left, and me and James are sitting like, so I'm like, okay, go left, go left. So we start running down this hill. And so that's because I remembered right to the beside, like where this hill was, there was a big old landfill where it's just like a gigantic hole in the ground. It's completely fenced around, and you can't even see in this fence. It's not a chain link. It has like blocks in them. It's completely closed off. Nobody can see in there. So I'm like, okay, we need to run. We need to get up in there. So we sprint down this hill, hop over, get in the landfill, and start walking down there, because this entire night was basically just all of the stuff that we had done throughout all of our time sneaking out, just all the havoc that we'd wreaked on the town was catching up to us right now. These cops had basically, I'm fairly sure that in their mind, they honestly probably had meetings about us from how much stuff we were doing, but they were probably just trying to put a stop to it and teach us a lesson, because we always got away. And so this night, they're like, you know what? No, we're just going ham. They were sending basically any officer that was on patrol out to try and get us. So we jumped up in there into this landfill, and we finally had a second to catch our breath. The landfill was 2.2 miles away from the abandoned water park, where basically all of the dead sprinting started from there. So bare minimum, we had been dead sprinting for 2.2 miles plus all of the weird stuff. We had to backtrack, we had to hop fences, we had to do all sorts of weird stuff to evade these cops. So it was definitely more than 2.2 miles, dead sprinting the entire time. So we're in this landfill, we have a chance to catch our breath. We are walking very, very slowly so we can catch our breath, we can relax for a second, and we start getting on my phone so that way James can text some other chicks, you know, try to find a move for the night, because since we can't go to this party, we need to find something else to do because the night is still young, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's only like probably 1:30, you know, just before 2. So if we find a move quick enough, we can go do something for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and still make it home in time without getting caught, sum up the night, have a good fun time to end everything off, right? And so, by the way, I never understood when I was a younger, you know, a teenager. Well, I still technically am, but they say, you know, you feel invincible when you're a teenager. I never believed that. I was just walking, strolling through this, just strolling through government-owned property, closed off, a landfill with a 100-foot deficit. I was 5 feet away from it in pitch black. And I was just walking away from at least 30 cops chasing me. You definitely do feel invincible. I don't know what was going through my mind, but I was completely calm. So clearly, nothing that it should have been going through. I was completely calm this entire time. So was James. He's just texting these chicks, and eventually we get to the end of the landfill, and we had to hop this barbed wire fence, and it connected over to this like an actual dump. You know, the landfill and then the dump, they're right next to each other with a barbed wire fence like blocking them off. But right in front of the dump is exactly where that like gas station is that only police officers use. So not only are we next to that, but we're also right next to the 2 main roads that connect to the police station. So we're now right next to one of the police stations. They're sending officers from the other police station. So there's 2 police stations right there that are sending responding officers, and it is getting bad. We are seeing so many cops, and it's past 1:30, like I said, and they're still turning on their sirens. They had comms that would rival FNCS players. The second that they spotted us, the town would get painted purple wherever we were. These cops were hawking us, trying to get us, and they were not going to let us go. They practically had the entire team like trying to find us just for us 2 kids sneaking out at night. And so the landfill you could not see into no matter how hard you tried. You know, it was completely blocked off and it was pitch black inside. The dump, on the other hand, it was impossible not to see inside. You could probably see any part of the dump that you wanted to. They had lights that were on 24/7 that illuminated the entire place, and it was surrounded by chain link fences. The whole time we're walking through this dump, I'm staring outside through this chain link fence onto the road, just looking for any cops, because like I said, this was the hot spot for cops. There was always cops flying up and down this road, no matter the time of day, even at night. Didn't matter if we were running, there were just always cops there no matter what, right? So I'm staring at this road, watching for cops. James is on the phone, texting these chicks, trying to set up a move for the night, and I was just gonna let him know if I seen any cops. I seen one fly by, but they were literally probably going 45, 10 over the speed limit, and they just flew straight down that road. So I'm like, oh, okay, clearly they didn't see us. And then all of a sudden, probably like another 10 minutes goes by, we're midway through this dump, like walking through it, and all of a sudden, I see another cop going down that street, but he's going way slower, and all of a sudden, he sees us. I can't see in his car, but I know that we lock eyes. I'm like, oh, that is not good. So he slowed down almost to a stop. We lock eyes. We're staring at each other for a second. Then all of a sudden, he just speeds off down the road. I see him just like turn around and start coming down the other side even faster. So I'm like, oh, this is not good. I'm like, James, he saw us. James, there's a cop that sees us. He's like, one second. He's texting on my phone, ignoring me. This dude is so into his phone that he's not even hearing me say, yo, cops are after us. He just had no worries in the world, no matter how many cops are after us. He's just more concerned about setting up a move. So I'm like, hey, James, one second. I literally had to wait for him to finish sending his message to even be able to tell him, hey man, a cop just pulled in here. And by the time I was able to tell him, another cop pulled in there, because they, like I said, their comms would have rivaled FNCS players. The second that they spotted us, they had the whole team pulling up on us. It was a problem, dude. And so I'm like, dude, 2 cops just pulled into here. And he's like, what, really? I'm like, yes, really? Why would I lie about this? Yes, they did. He's like, well, what should we do? And so I'm like, well, we're gonna have to run across the street, because right ahead of this road, it literally went dump, a little bit of field, and then fire station. Right behind the fire station is the police station, and right across this street though was this park, and then the bike path that we could always evade from. These cops were done playing around, and for good reason, because as I keep explaining, you know, we had our sneaking out uniforms, which was super good for only ever having one description of us, never getting caught, not seeing our face, all of that, super good for it, right? What it's not good for is the second any cop sees us, they immediately relate that to, oh, those are the same people who did this, and this when they were out at night, so they're definitely not up to good, you know? Super bad for that front of just cops instantly recognizing us. So all of them had their own separate vendettas, separate rage, separate reasons for wanting to catch us, but all of them collectively wanted to catch us, especially now since it started off with us just pushing over a sign and being out past curfew. 2 things right there. They could technically probably get us for like 4 things in court if we got charged for all 4 of them. But after that, we had trespassing on unbelievable amounts of things, evading officers. Like, our crimes are just getting racked up as the minutes passed from us evading these officers. So it was just getting like real bad out here, you know. We're like, this is just not good at all, right? And so we run across, we hop this fence from the dump because all these cops are getting closer and closer to us. They're inching through the dump, you know. And so the dump is really hard to navigate though, you know. We were on some end, since we were on foot, we could just get wherever we wanted. The cops had to take actual roads and different places to get there, so we had a good advantage in the dump of like they couldn't see us. They could see us easier from the road than inside the actual dump. Two officers are in the dump, and so like, this is perfect. They're in the dump, they think we're in there. We gotta cross this road before more cops get here. So we hop the fence, we go to run across the road. Right as we run across the road, a cop is coming from where the station is, sees us going into that field. So like, no, this is not good, it's not good. So we sprint across up through that park into like where the bike path is, and we're like, okay, at least 1 to possibly 2 or 3 cops seen us run across to here, so they know where we are. But we're on the bike path, and bike path is basically home court advantage for us. And even though we couldn't go to the party, James found another 2-man setup across to the other side of town. And thankfully, since we were running from the cops, we were already running in the direction of like where this chick's house was, because she was on the other side of town where we'd already been evading from the cops, running that entire way without even knowing that's where we needed to go. So it actually really worked out for us. So we're walking down this bike path. James is still on my phone texting this chick, trying to work out a plan, you know, tell her when we're going to be there, at time estimates, all sorts of stuff, just like working out the difficulties of us actually getting there. As we're walking further and further up this bike path, we've probably been walking for a good 10 minutes. We get up to like closer towards the top when all of a sudden I freeze and I grab James. I'm like, hang on, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. He's like, what? We look up and forward. There was this, so right where we were getting was towards the end of the bike path where there was a crosswalk and a street light over to the other side where it continued on a separate side of the road, but it was much more open on that side. As we're getting closer to that, there's a white picket fence that lines the entire side of where the other like side of the bike path is across the street. That white picket fence is completely purple. As soon as I see that, I know that that means there is a minimum of 8 cops blocking that bike path up there with their lights on but no sirens. So I see that, I'm like, that is not good. I knew it had to be a minimum of 8 too, because when I'd seen like 5 cops all together, it makes a like it turns everything purple, but it still flickers with a slight blue, slight red. This was a pure dark purple. There were so many cops there that the lights weren't even flickering. They all just merged into one dead purple. I have never seen that many cops that close together in my town ever, and I wasn't even close enough to see how many there was yet. So I grabbed it, I'm like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. But thankfully, since like I said, bike path was home court advantage for us, so we knew exactly what to do. Right next to us, there was this like government owned tree farm that was a couple acres long, and so as long as we hopped this fence right next to us, we could just walk up that across the street right next to them the entire way until we got past them, and then we could hop back over, continue over to the 2-man, and we'd be all good. So we hopped over into that tree farm, started walking over, and as we're walking by this fence line with like the tree farm and all that stuff, we can see all of the cops at this intersection blocking it off, closed off. Most of them are out of their cars with their lights on, just waiting for us to get to the end of this bike path, because those like 1, 2, maybe 3 officers spotted us when we were running across the road from the like government owned from the dump. And so we started walking after that because we knew we needed to catch our breath. We'd been running for a second, we just needed to walk. So when we were walking up that whole bike path, that gave them all enough time, because their comms were super good, to get all the way up to that spot, block it off, and wait for us up there. But thankfully they turned on those lights. That was like the reverse bat signal for us. We saw that and we're like, okay, well, I guess danger for us is that way. Nothing good's happening over there. Let's hop over this fence. So we walked up, and as we're seeing all of those cop cars, I couldn't even count how many there was. I also could barely see. My vision was shaky from how much adrenaline was in my system once I saw the sheer amount of cop cars that we were running from, because I already figured we'd been running from, you know, both of Coeur d'Alene's police departments. But what I didn't think would happen was the town over, Hayden, they sent police officers out as well. I saw Hayden PD over in my town. I have never seen the other town's police officers even patrolling in my area, and they were there with their lights on waiting for us. 3 separate police departments. So I saw that, my stomach dropped so bad, my heart rate went up, my adrenaline was pumping. I'm like, we need to get out of here. So we hopped that fence, and we walked up probably a good another 100 feet, hopped that fence, got in the center of the road, and we were at least 200 feet away from them by this point. There was no way that they could see us, and we were in complete darkness as well. We hopped that, ran across the street, ran all the way past this middle school over to where this park was, and just posted up there inside of the actual park itself while we went to text these chicks. Because after James had to put down the phone when we initially saw all the purple ahead of us, we had to stop texting them. And it had been a while since we texted them, at least 30 minutes of just pure running, sprinting, panting, just being tired. And we had gotten to this park. We'd been evading these officers for bare minimum 2.5 hours. Bare minimum 2.5 hours of running from these officers, at least from like 12:30, and it was about 3 right now. And so we're sitting there and we're like, this is just not going good. How are they still looking for us? There's 3 different police departments. This is not good. We need to sit down. We need to figure out if we're going to this chick's house or not, or whatever the deal is, because they wanted to catch us so bad. And the fact that they couldn't catch 2 like 14-year-old kids looked so bad for 3 police departments. How can 3 police departments not catch 2 14-year-olds? You know what I'm saying? So we're posted at this park. We're calling these chicks. We're texting them. We're trying to get anything to work. And lo and behold, they pass out again. If you watched the marathon video that I posted, this was the same exact 2-man that James set up before. They passed out when they were at the hotel. They passed out once again when we're on our way evading from these cops. So we're like, are you kidding me? Like, you're seriously about to pass out again? Like, all right, like right as we're about to get over there again for a second, that you're gonna fall asleep on us again? So now we're just posted up inside of this like park, and we're like, okay, what are we gonna do from here? We decided to hide out at the park for a little second longer just to figure out what we were doing, because sadly we'd been evading these cops for bare minimum 2.5 hours, like I said, and we are at this park and it is over 4 miles away from where that abandoned water park was. We had been chased for over 4 miles, dead sprinting, evading 3 different police squadrons, almost clear across to a different town, and they were still looking for us, and we didn't even do anything too bad. Like, at this point, it was very clearly just an ego thing for all these police officers. Like, they just genuinely did not want their superiors to believe that they couldn't come out and catch some teenagers, but they clearly couldn't. So we're just posted up at this park. It's getting way too late. We're starting to realize that we are just gonna have to go home, go separate ways, without doing anything too fun tonight. And so we're like, there's no way it's what's about to have to happen, but it's definitely what's gonna have to happen, because they're still trying to chase us and they are not giving up. And right as we're talking about this, we look out from like the actual like playground around to the street circling the actual park itself, and we see a cop patrolling that area as well. So as soon as we see that, we're like, there is no way they're about to give up. They clearly are not going back to the station without us. They're just gonna be patrolling all night. So this is really bad. So after we see that cop gets kind of out of eyesight from the park, we start taking off and sprinting to try to get over towards the bike path and start heading home for the both of us. So, and we figured since that cop just got out of eyesight and they were patrolling the area, these cops were clearly trying very hard to find us, which meant that they broke apart and they were probably really scanning the area, which meant that we had a good enough window to the point where if this cop was on this road, it would be a very long time until or not a long time, but a long enough time until another cop went up that road, to the point where we could just dead sprint down that road, not be seen, and hopefully just get to the bike path like we needed to go to. Once we got onto the bike path, this is when we decided that we just needed to split up and go separate directions, because at this point we had been sprinting miles and miles and miles and there was just no end in sight. So we just needed to split off and go to both of our houses and just end the night here, because clearly nothing was good was coming from here. It was starting to get way too early in the morning, to the point that if we just ran around any longer, we would risk getting caught when we snuck in. So we figured that we just need to split off separate directions. And normally we would both walk to that dog park that we started this story at, because it was about a 50-50 even walk to each of our houses from there. But since we were running from so many cops, we just split off right then and there at that bike path. I started walking back towards my house and James started going back towards his, and so I had to walk all the way up the bike path over to my neighborhood, and I basically ran the entire way. I had no problems, didn't see any more cops. I was all good, made it home, snuck in, everything was all fine for me. James, on the other hand, he had to cross the street, hop the fence into that like tree farm once again, and run all the way through that tree farm, hop some other fences to get to this golf course and then to his house. And he apparently saw at least 2 to 3 cops patrolling in his neighborhood, because it was around the same area as the bike path and everything else that just had went down and happened, and none of them saw him, and he's not sure if they were like the same cops, just one cop just patrolling the area, or if it was different ones. Regardless, he saw 2 to 3 cops and he was scared shitless, but he got home just fine as well. And this is where the story should end, but as I previously explained, these cops had seen us a lot. We'd had a lot of run-ins with them. We'd ran away from them a lot in the past. We knew them, but they technically on like a name-to-name, face-to-face basis, but just they probably had meetings about us. And so at the time, I was 14, so I was working one of my first jobs at this restaurant joint at this Mexican place called Azteca. And so I was a busser, so I would just like clean people's plates, take them back to the kitchen. I would bring chips and salsa out to people, and when there was larger reservations, that meant I would set their table and like bring chips and salsa to it before they got there. This one specific shift, probably about a week after like this night happened, I had like this reservation for 9 that was in the back in the specific room for bigger parties. So I went back there, I set up their table, put their chips and salsa down, did whatever, And then the way that this table was set up was it was 8 people, so it was fucking like it was 4 seats on each side, and then at the very end there was an extra chair because there was 9 people, right? 1 chair at the very end of that. As the people filled in, 8 got there, filled up all those seats besides the end one. So I go to bring them chips and salsa after I see that they're all sat down there. Once I come back though, that 9th chair is filled, and you know who's in it? An on-duty officer who's probably on his lunch break, still in all of his clothes, and I'm fairly sure it was a sheriff. And so I see that, I'm like, oh, I do not like this, because I already don't like talking to cops, and especially after what just went on. You really think I'm about to go up to him and just start chopping it up with him, yapping away? God, no, you got me so messed up. I'm not doing none of that, right? And so I go to bring the chips and salsa over there. I'm like, okay, I just need this to be as quick as possible, because I had a lot of face-to-face interactions with cops right before running away, to the point where they might recognize my face. And so I walk on back there, I go to sit down chips and salsa, and every single time this cop sees me, he's been like looking at me, and I bring that down, he's locking eyes on me, stares at me the whole way there. As soon as I set down those chips and salsa, he starts questioning me hard. Immediately he's just like, hey man, what's your name? So I start lying instantly. I already had a backup plan the second that I saw it was a cop in there back there, and just in case anything happened, I need to have a backup plan. So I walk back there, and he's like, what's your name? So I immediately start telling him my old best friend Jackson, who moved to Arizona. I start telling him all his information. What's your name? Oh, Jackson. Last name, tell him his last name. He's like, oh, where are you from? Arizona. Oh, what city? Tell him that city. He starts questioning me down to my street name, my address, my school, all this stuff, because he knows I'm capping, and he knows that he's seen me before, because he started off this whole conversation like, oh, what's your name? Like, I feel like I've seen you around here before, because he obviously definitely had, probably a couple nights ago when I was running away from him, putting like trains on him, just gapping and running away, hopping fences or whatever. And so he sees that, he sees me, starts asking my name, give him all this false information until he starts questioning me down to minute details about like what street address I had and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't really feel comfortable telling you all this information, officer. I have other tables to get to. Walk away from him, and I go and tell my like the server and one of my managers that was like serving the table, I'm like, look, I am fairly sure this is the same exact cop that I just ran away from a couple days ago, because I was fairly sure that this was like, I was 95% sure that this was the cop that James jumped around, flipped off, like the cop that started off this entire night that James jumped up, turned around, flipped off. Fairly sure it was that exact officer that I just served chips and salsa to. So I'm like, I am not stepping foot near this man again. I already gave him my whole background. I gave him my name, everything. If he asked, tell him Jackson, this information and that. But this is not looking good for me. My manager was just like, okay, yeah, bet. I didn't have to deal with that table for 1 second after. And seeing that officer walk out of that restaurant after eating his meal, I've never been happier to clean up a table in my life. Having him walk out of there felt like stealing my mom's anxiety medication. I was instantly relieved, you know, no stress, everything gone. I was feeling like in harmony, just perfectly fine. And this just goes to show that you need to be extremely conscious about all of your actions, because one small event can lead to a huge ripple domino effect of events that could almost get you fucked. I hope y'all enjoyed that first story. Obviously, my equipment has gotten a little bit better since that was made, so let me know if y'all want a remastered version of the story with like a better microphone, camera, and just all around better equipment. But let me know in the comments if y'all are interested in that. But for the next story, we have the Painkiller Marathon. Have you ever taken 6,250 milligrams of acetaminophen painkillers mixed with 309 milligrams of caffeine and then snuck out of your house and walked a total of 28.5 miles across 3 small towns while these painkillers found any and every way out of your body? My guess is probably not, but if you want to push the human body to its absolute limit and wake up in more pain than your Republican father watching Trump get shot, then this video is exactly what you're looking for. You're probably wondering, Owen, why would anybody do this to themselves? You're probably wondering quite a few things, but no worries, I am here to explain it all to you in vivid detail. So sit back, grab some popcorn, maybe some acetaminophen painkillers and a couple energy drinks, and get ready for one of the craziest and stupidest adventures of my life. What is somehow the most shocking detail of the story is that this takes place my 8th grade year. I was only 13 years old at the time, and I wanted to do absolutely anything that was somewhat fun or got my adrenaline pumping. I didn't care how crazy, how stupid, or how dangerous, I was always down. And my best friend James always had an even stronger urge to do something we should not be doing or to take something we should not be taking. So when he paired us up together, it was always a recipe for the most adrenaline pumping fun disaster you could ask for. And probably about a week before this story takes place, I went over to James's house, and as it was getting later into the night, he started telling me he found out that painkillers and energy drinks could get you high, and then immediately asked me if I wanted to try it with him. I considered it for probably about 2.5 seconds before I was immediately agreed. So we both took 3 painkillers and split a monster. It took a second, but we both definitely started to feel something. And we both had a bit of a different feeling. The high definitely didn't last too long. It wasn't like too fucking strong, but it was good enough for us. We went on a rampage throughout his room until eventually we crashed out from the caffeine and just had the effects of the painkillers. And after this night, we both constantly talked about how awesome it was going to be if we did this with even more painkillers and even more energy drinks and caffeine. So one fateful day, James came back over to my house. We hadn't even had anything planned for tonight, but here in a couple hours, we were in for the experience of a lifetime and did not even know it. We were just hanging out around my house, and eventually we got bored and wanted to do anything that was more interesting than just sitting in my room. So we started talking about what we should do. So I brought up going to Walmart. Just about as soon as I brought up Walmart, it was not long before we figured out that they had painkillers and energy drinks. And as soon as we figured that out, we had a mission and a plan for the rest of the night. So we got up and started walking over to Walmart. Walmart was just over 1.5 miles away from my house, so it was perfect walking distance. We scurried on over to Walmart and we went inside, located the painkillers and energy drinks, because after getting a taste of what that painkiller and energy drink high felt like, we were fiending for more. So we went in there, found the painkillers, and then located the biggest size of Red Bull. As soon as we found the biggest size of Red Bull, James realized that they had the biggest size of Monster as well. So he got the biggest Red Bull and the biggest Monster. We now had a bottle of 25 500 milligram painkillers, enough caffeine to put us into cardiac arrest, and some condoms I decided to take as well. But then we walked home, and because it was about 4 p.m. and it was winter time, so it was already getting cold and it was already getting dark. So we scurried on home as quickly as possible, and once we got home, we laid out everything on my windowsill. Energy drinks, painkillers, condoms, and all. Shortly after this, my mom yelled down the hallway saying that dinner was going to be ready here in a second, so we hid all the evidence, went out, and ate dinner. But after dinner, seeming how we had no plans for the rest of the night, we went back to my room and basically instantly broke into these painkillers. And you're probably thinking we'd start off with like 3 to 5, seeming how they were 500 milligrams. Well, we were not thinking, and we did not do even a lick of research as to what was in these pills or what a high dosage of these pills was going to do to us. So we took all of them. 12 and a half a piece. There was 24 in the bottle, and we took 12 and then split the last one and probably took every last speck of dust that could have even been hiding from us in this pill bottle. We were taking 4 pills at a time and downing them by chugging our Red Bulls with these pills, and by our fucking third handful, the pill bottle was empty and so were our energy drinks, but we still had James Monster left over. So we just said, fuck it, started passing that thing back and forth, chugging it until that was empty too. After this, we sat down and started just waiting around for them to hit. Shortly after this, my mom and her boyfriend started yelling at me about something so stupid, trying to argue with me, thinking that I'm stealing their wallets, TV remotes, and some other shit when they would just get hella drunk or hella high and misplace it. So after talking with them for like 30 minutes, I was pissed. I went straight back to my room and started writing down this note. But right as I went to write down this note, I started feeling it. These painkillers started to hit me. Every step I was taking felt like it was at least 3 inches in the air, just walking on top of some clouds. And my entire body started feeling like it was on top of a floaty going over waves in the ocean, slowly trying to rock me to sleep until the caffeine would fight against it and make me want to go on a rampage. Like all around, I was just feeling it, right? But I was pissed at my parents, so I needed to write down this note. I basically just wrote a note being like, yo, I'm pissed at y'all. I can't be home or around you guys right now. If you care enough to know where I am, just call my phone and I'll tell you where I am because I know you're too drunk to drive and come get me. After this, I taped that note up onto my door and me and James hopped out my window and snuck out. James had heard the whole thing and was not really trying to be home either, but mainly just wanted to sneak out if we're being honest here. So after we taped that note to my door, we locked it and hopped out my window. But as I mentioned earlier in the story, it was wintertime, so there was bare minimum a foot of snow in my yard. But thankfully, my roof had about an 8-inch overhang, so no snow fell directly next to the house. So we were able to just hug the house all the way around and no footprints were seen in the snow because we were just walking on grass. As we got towards the edge of my house, we had to hop this one fence because if we went the other way in my yard, my parents would see us sneaking out because they were out on the front porch just smoking. So we had to be very careful, and we were very careful. Once we got to the side of the house, we followed each other's footprints until we got to the fence, and this fence was so cold and frosted over that as we tried to hop it, our clothes stuck to the fence and we had to peel ourselves off until we got over the fence. Once we got over the fence, we had to walk down this icy side road until we got into the clear opening because this icy side road would go directly next to my house, but there weren't enough bushes and trees that where my parents would have no chance of being able to see us walking. And as each step we took into these icy ass roads, I could see more and more of my breath. And oddly enough, I didn't feel cold at all because it was more than -degree weather with a wind chill. But these painkillers were fighting against the cold and they were winning. And sadly, we had to go down the right side of my road once we were leaving though, because the left side of this road would lead to all of the towns, cities, civilization, just everything was over there, all the fucking everything. But the other side of the road, the side that we sat sadly had to walk down was just fields on fields on fields. It was fucking no man's land. If you followed that shit long enough, it would lead to the mountains. But sadly, this was the way we had to go to avoid being seen from the porch. So we started walking, and James was signed into his Snapchat on my phone texting this one chick, because she wanted us to walk all the way to her house to hang out with her and her older cousin. So me and James are now hyped. We're feeling way too good off these painkillers. We have a two-man in motion and could potentially be on the way to lose our virginity. So we start jumping for joy. We're mad excited. But I guess all this excitement shook these painkillers the wrong way, because the thing was, we weighed 120 pounds at this time, like max 120 pounds. And the max amount of acetaminophen a 120 pound person should take in one day is 450 milligrams. We both individually took 6,250, 14 times more than the amount we should take in a day. And on top of that, we were already triple the amount of caffeine a 13-year-old should have in the span of one day either. So what we took was a technical overdose and should have speed ran us straight to a heart attack in the middle of the freezing cold snow and then death. But I guess it was not our time. And what happens after this is some of the most bum, low-life shit I have ever done in my life. But it took maybe 3.5 minutes after our celebration for these painkillers to start hurting my stomach and hurting them really bad. But they were giving me a crazy body high. And like, I thought I was thinking straight, but I guess that these pills were thinking for me and destroying my brain cells in the process of everything, because I didn't know what the fuck was going on and I thought I was fully there. I was not fully there. My stomach starts to hurt so bad and I'm super fucked up, and I all of a sudden start to feel like I am going to shit my pants. Like I'm going to shit my pants and it's going to happen right now. So I'm freaking out. I look over at James like, oh my God, I'm going to shit my pants. I'm going to shit my pants. He starts laughing hella hard, but ain't shit funny. I am so serious. So I turn around, I start running straight into this person's front yard, right in front of their front window, and I just drop my pants. James was laughing hella hard, but I was damn near crying. This was one of the worst pains I had ever felt in my life. Like, since we had a technical overdose on acetaminophen, it was either finding a way out of us or finding us a way to the hospital, to put it lightly. And I was in this yard, and as I was getting rid of these painkillers, I was just feeling more and more high. I start rocking back and forth more and more, and I start feeling like I'm gonna fall the fuck over. And I am in a great deal of pain. My entire outside of my body is numb, but every inch of my insides feel like they are tearing each other apart at some type of civil war. It was fucking miserable. But regardless, I ran out of that yard, back over to the sidewalk and over to James, and I'm laughing super hard, because I feel like I'm about 5 times more high now, and I'm laughing my ass off at the fact that someone's gonna wake up, walk outside, see human footprints in the snow of their yard, and then just a pile of shit. As I'm laughing about this, talking to James about it, he's dead silent, 1,000-mile stare straight forward, until eventually I stop talking and he just goes, I think I got a shit too. And just based off his face, I knew he was in a shit ton of pain. So I'm like, oh, okay. So he runs into that same yard I just came from, and I take down the fence line. And so I'm chilling at this fence line, and I have never, ever heard James even yell from pain or anything. The shriek he let out was one of those ones you'd see in horror movies that echoes throughout the entire town and makes the birds fly away. This shriek was more pain-filled than anything I think I've ever heard in my life. He was somehow in more pain than me, so I was sitting like, oh my God. And then probably like a minute later, he comes running around that corner, he's like, nah, couldn't shit. Like, this dude basically woke up the entire fucking neighborhood in town and the people who owned the house just to not even shit. But I was like, damn, okay, so we're both in a fucking terrible amount of pain, but there's a two-man mission waiting for us ahead, so we have to keep pushing on. It was like the light at the end of the tunnel, and I would be damned if we get consumed by the darkness before we get to the end of it. So we kept on marching. Where I lived was deep in Hayden. Where this chick lived was deep in Post Falls, basically 2 towns over to the furthest extent possible. And like I mentioned earlier, we had to go down the side of the road that led to fields and mountains rather than cities and civilization, and by doing this, we tacked on at least 5 extra miles to our journey. It was treacherous. I felt like I needed to channel the spirit of David Goggins to get through this, but the only spirit I could get in contact with was Dave Goggins, his junkie brother who does pills in the basement, because I was fucked up. But besides the point, what would David Goggins do if there was a tough obstacle in the middle of his fucking course between him and the finish line? Would he give up? No, he would push through. So we knew what the fuck needed to happen. These roads were treacherous, they were cold, they were icy, and we had so many miles to go, but we kept on fucking walking. It was freezing cold and our stomachs were in terrible pain. It felt like trying to go onto the Oregon Trail with dysentery. I felt like I was about to shit out my insides and just die right then and there. It was miserable. Well, the whole time we're walking down this shit, we end up fucking reaching this airport. So the road gets cut off and we have to turn left. So after that, we turn left and now we're actually headed towards the directions of cities and civilizations and are officially on the way to Post Falls. This entire walk to this 2-man, I felt like fucking SpongeBob and Squidward trying to deliver that pizza. It was treacherous and all I was delivering was cold Uber meats. The whole time we're walking, James is texting this chick off Snapchat and we're using snap maps as directions. At this point, we'd been walking for an extra 5 miles and with every step my stomach was hurting worse and worse. And at one point I looked down at my fingertips and they started to crack open and bleed. This is when I realized how cold it actually was outside, because I couldn't feel anything at all. My body was completely numb, and we still had over 2 miles until we were getting onto the road we were just turning on. So my stomach hurt really bad, but morale was far from low and we were far from sober, so we didn't care too much. But as we're walking, my stomach started to hurt worse and worse until it felt like it was gonna burst. So I started talking less and less while James was just texting that chick on his phone, until randomly I realized that no more than 400 yards ahead there's a gas station that should be 24 hours. So I was gonna use their bathroom. So I let James know this and we started picking up pace. I was mad excited because I really did not want another repeat of what I did to that honest civilian's yard, but if it had to happen, it had to happen. So we start picking up pace, walking to this gas station, and I did not think I was gonna make it to this gas station until it was like 20 feet ahead of us. So I was mad excited. I ran up in there giddy as hell, going over for the door to make sure this bitch was unlocked, and as I put my hand on there, it was locked. It was closed. It was not 24 hours. Having my hand on that door handle felt like smacking rock bottom in life. I felt so goddamn empty. But if that was rock bottom, what I did next puts me far below bedrock if we want to paint this in Minecraft terms. I sat there with my eyes closed and my hand on that door handle for a solid minute because I knew what was about to happen next. My pilled out mind was pissed that they were not 24 hours. So I shit all over their door, the entrance, the gas station. I shit everywhere, all over this place. And at the time, I was 100% convinced that they deserved this simply for just not being 24 hours. I don't know what was going on in my mind. Well, I do know what's going on in my mind. The pills. Other than that, clearly not much at all. And we are so lucky that a cop didn't drive by at the time of this going on, because not only would I have obviously been arrested, but James was on probation, and in the state of Idaho, minors are not allowed outside past midnight. So if he got caught fucking breaking any law, it was straight to juvie for him, and he would have been fucked no matter what happened in this scenario. But thankfully no cops were driving by. So after I was done with my homeless bum drug addict activities, I pulled up my pants and we continued our walk, because we still had at least 1.5 miles to get to the road we were turning on, and from there at least 15 miles left in this adventure until we got to that chick's house. So we kept walking and I just started feeling more and more fucked up. Every time I had to shit out these painkillers, it was making me way more high, and I didn't even realize it, because basically any drug when ingested through the back door makes you more high. So every time I was shitting these out, I was actually re-ingesting them and getting way more high for the next 20 minutes until I came back down from that high. And so as we're walking away, I'm starting to feel like I'm walking on 3 inches of air again. My body's feeling good. I am feeling great. And it is impossible for me to crash from the amount of caffeine that I took. Y'all know how a 4 Loko is basically just alcohol and fucking energy? I was basically taking the pill Loko. I was feeling fucked up and great off of it too. And so we kept walking, and these roads were super icy, and we still had probably just about under 1 mile to go to the road we were going to turn on, and we kept almost slipping on this ice and fucking falling over. A couple of times we did actually fall over flat onto our backs and then just uncontrollably laugh for the next minute or two while still on the ground. But finally we reached the road that we needed to turn on. So we started turning down that road, and James was texting that chick that we were getting closer, because at this point we had been through absolute hell, and we just now reached the halfway point between my house and hers. But everything is still going good though. We're both still hyped to lose our virginity, so we kept on pushing. Probably after another half mile of walking, my phone started to go off. So I took out my phone, and it was that chick texting James. So I give him the phone, and she basically was just telling us to hurry up. So he responded, okay, well hurry, and we started walking a little bit faster and put my phone back in my pocket. Probably another mile up the road or so, like we've been walking for a good amount of time. Suddenly my phone starts to ring again, right? And so I'm fucking confused. I'm thinking it's that chick again, but it's an actual phone call. So I'm like, what the fuck? I pull it out thinking it's that chick calling me on Snapchat, but it's not. It's just some random phone number that's not in my contacts. So I'm mad confused, but I still think it's just that girl calling me, so I give James the phone. So he gets the phone and answers it, but it's not the girl calling. It was her older cousin, the one that I was supposed to meet up with. So James just puts that shit on speaker, and she's just like, my dad's sitting in the front of the door with a shotgun just waiting for you guys. So instantly, in sync, me and James hear that. Mid-sentence, we both turn around. Fuck that, we are not going. What the fuck is going on with that? She proceeds to say, just still come and sneak in through the back window. So we're like, fuck no, we are not coming anymore. That's an extra 10 miles minimum of walking just for a 90% chance of us either getting shot or arrested. And the only reason your dad would even know anything is if one of y'all fuckers told him something you were not supposed to be telling him. So we're like, fuck this, we are no longer going. We are pissed. We've been walking for so fucking long just for their dad to be at the front door. Like this is the worst possible fucking thing that could have just happened. We're halfway over and we're in a completely other town, and you're just now telling us, yo, My dad's at the door with the shotgun. Like, we fucking had just reached Post Falls a couple miles ago, and now we already have to fucking turn around and just go somewhere else. So we're like, fuck this. We start heading back into town, and we probably had to walk another mile or two before we got to this gas station. Whether it was because of disappointment or shitting them all out, I was starting to feel real sober, real cold, and in excruciating amounts of pain. And we were turning around, walking right back down this road that we had already walked up. So we're both pissed. James is even more upset than I am because he was the one setting up the two-man. And so he immediately starts texting other people trying to set up a move. And I look down at my hands at this point and realize that every single one of them is cracked open and bleeding. And we are fucking freezing cold and didn't even realize it this entire time. And so fucking as I'm looking at my hands, James sets up yet another two-man mission. There were these fucking chicks, they were having a kickback. So there was 3 of them and only 2 of us, and they had beer and weed, or alcohol and weed, not no beer, liquor, right? And so I was hyped for this. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, sign us up for this. We're on the way. 3 chicks and 2 of us, I am down, right? So we start marching down this road on the way over there, and it is cold as fuck, but now we're hyped because we've been walking around since 7 p.m. and it was about 1 a.m. now. So I will be damned if we go home without doing anything fun. Thankfully, luck was on our side. Where these chicks were at was directly up the road we were just on and to the left. Like, it was no more than an hour away walking. So we were actually gonna make it there in time. So we're fucking hyped. We're texting her, but fucking this gas station is coming up on the right, and James had to go to the bathroom, and we were both extremely hungry, but had 0 money. And so I'm like, okay, when you go to the bathroom, I'm gonna try to steal us some food so we can get something to eat before we go over there. But once we get up into this gas station, James goes to the bathroom, and there's one guy working because it's the night shift. But this man is staring at me. He looks disgusted, concerned, confused. Like, he looked like he couldn't tell if he wanted to call the cops or CPS. Like, he just looked distressed as hell. And so his eyes were on me the whole time. I couldn't even manage to get anything. All I managed to pocket was some candies called sour squares. My hands were bright red and completely numb. So I started walking around like I was LeBron doing my fucking pre-game ritual. Just I'm blowing fucking air through my hands. They're bloody, they're shitty. It is a bad situation, right? And right as I'm just starting to get warmed up, James comes out of the bathroom, and so now we have to leave. So we step outside, and it is freezing fucking cold because between 1 and 3 a.m. at night is normally like the coldest time of night. And so not only was it the coldest time of night, but our bodies were already freezing fucking cold, and we were now sober off of these painkillers. So stepping outside felt like our first time stepping outside into the cold, but it was the most cold point of the night, and our bodies were already below freezing. So we were fucking cold. It felt like walking around like some cavemen in the Ice Age. Our fingers would not want to move. Our hands couldn't move. Our joints felt locked. We just felt fucking miserable. But James is still texting this chick. She's just across the way, and she's responding fast every time we text. So we're like, fuck yeah, we keep on pushing ahead. And then randomly she texts saying like, oh yeah, no, I still got that weed and alcohol. Like, I'm super fucked up though. Y'all need to get here quick, right? So like, okay, we'll be there quick. We start walking, but we're shivering so bad that it hurts and we can barely even talk to each other. So we see another gas station just ahead. This one also seemed open. It actually seemed like every fucking gas station in the state of Idaho, besides the one that I needed, was open. But regardless, we started walking over there. But as we're walking and getting close to this gas station, the chick just stops responding. Like, straight up just stops responding. And she was responding instantly the whole time. So like, whoa, this is not fucking good. But we went into that gas station, and that there was one worker working this gas station as well. Same exact vibe as the other guy. He's staring at us, disgusted, disturbed, fucking confused. Didn't know if he wanted to call CPS or the cops. Same vibe. But we walk straight back to the bathroom. We sit back there and start just putting our hands under the sink, because James discovered that the sinks were the only thing that were able to warm up your hands in the last bathroom. So we start warming up our hands in there, and it felt like fucking holy water was being poured on us. I was damn near moaning back there. Dude probably thought we went in the bathroom and started fucking. I'm not even kidding. We were loud as fucking there, getting this water, but now this chick has completely stopped responding. And so we came to the conclusion pretty quick that she just drank and smoked more and passed out, because she kind of said that's what was going to happen. But we're like, damn, in the span of 30 minutes, this already happened. We're less than half of a mile away from where you are, and you decide to pass out right fucking now. We're pissed. But at this point, we're like, we can't even fucking, we start calling her. We called like 3 times. She didn't answer. There's no more time to fucking wait out on this. It's getting late in the night. We need to find a move, and we need to find a move soon. So James gets back on his phone, and at this point, a lot of people had texted him back that he'd hit up initially, and the span of time that it took for this chick to cancel again, more people had responded. So now we found a party in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Only fucking problem with that is we started off in deep in Hayden. We walked all the way out deep into Post Falls, and then back from Post Falls into fucking Hayden. The walk to this party in Coeur d'Alene was the same distance we just walked out to fucking Post Falls. So we started walking out to Coeur d'Alene regardless. Thankfully, we were close to the border of Hayden and Coeur d'Alene, so it didn't take too long before we were in Coeur d'Alene. But Coeur d'Alene is the biggest like town out of all 3 of these, and we basically had to walk all the way through it. And it was like another 12 miles added to our fucking trip for this. So we're like, fuck, we need to get going like now. So we started walking, and we walked like a good 2 to 3 miles, complaining the entire time because we're shivering so bad it hurts our ribs. We're fucking bleeding out of our fingertips, and it's freezing cold. These painkillers wore off, so our feet hurt. Everything is in fucking pain. And so we keep walking and realize that we still have hours to walk just in order to get to this party. It's about 2 a.m. already, and by the time we get there, it's going to be 3 or 4 in the morning. So realistically, we would have to fucking get there, instantly turn around, and walk right back fucking home. And we would, in order to just not get caught. And either way, we probably wouldn't even make it to the party before fucking sunrise happened. So we're like, fuck this shit, we just need to go home. And then a cold gust of wind cut through our clothes. We felt every inch of that, and it sent shivers down my spine and goosebumps across my body. So I literally just said, fuck this, turned around, started walking right back up towards fucking Hayden and towards my house. And so at this point, we're way too fucking cold. We're bleeding, we're shivering, we're in so much goddamn pain. We want to get home as quickly as possible. So we fucking just went to the highway and started walking right up the highway towards oncoming traffic. The reason we chose to walk towards oncoming traffic rather than with the traffic was because if a cop came up to us, it was going to be a lot easier to run away from them if they were fucking pulling towards us, because then we'd have to run towards oncoming traffic and they couldn't get to us. So it was realistically smarter. But as we're walking, we walk for a good like 2 to 3 miles probably, and I start getting hungry as fuck because I was already hungry when we went to the first gas station, and now my hunger was genuinely starting to hurt me, and my stomach already hurt before this, so I was just in even more pain. All I could think about was food. Thankfully, just up this highway there was going to be a Walmart coming up. So, and this was back when they were 24 hours as well, so I was fucking telling James, I'm like, we got to stop at this Walmart, I need to get some food. The only issue was I didn't have any money to buy any food with, but fucking we kept walking on this treacherous fucking basically hike all the way up this highway until we got to the Walmart. Once we reached the Walmart, we walk up in there, and James immediately goes to locate the bathroom because those painkillers were still running their course on him. I immediately went to go locate some food, but for whatever fucking reason, they had so many people out restocking shelves in the food area. Like I didn't go to the other side of the store, but it seemed like every fucking worker was in the food section restocking the shelves. So I'm like, fuck, how am I gonna get anything? All I managed to get my hands on was a bag of Airhead minis, like a jumbo bag of Airhead minis. So I shoved those in my pants and located James. We walked out of the store, and James was pissed that I yet again only got candy for food, but I did not care. I needed anything to just feed my stomach and make it shut the fuck up, like shoving a sucker into a kid's mouth in the store so they stop crying. And so we fucking start walking away from Walmart, and thankfully Walmart was only a mile and a half away from my house. So we started to relax a little bit, knowing that we were close to home. So we were walking around laughing hella loud, just eating all these Airheads out of the bag, until we turned on this one road and saw cop lights right ahead of us, just coming straight towards us. And the thing was, they did not have their sirens on, and they were driving really slowly with a flashlight, like they were looking for somebody in these streets. So me and James look ahead, we see this, our stomachs instantly drop. Because as I mentioned earlier, if minors in the state of Idaho get caught past midnight, they can go to juvie. James was already on probation, so if he broke any law, it was straight to juvie. So we see this, we look at each other, and we instantly fucking take off running. There was at least a foot of snow in every single yard across every street. Like there was just snow fucking everywhere. And so we took off to go start hopping these fences, because thankfully we were near this church that was less than a half a mile from my house, so we knew we could hop fences until we got to my road. So we fucking take off, start running and jumping these fences. As soon as we take off, I see the cops speed up and turn down the road parallel to the fence where fences were hopping. So I'm like, fuck, are they looking for us? Like, I'm tweaked, but we can't get caught. So we're running, jumping these fences over and over again, and every single time we go to jump a fence, I feel this bag of Airheads tipping more and more in my pants, because I had to shove them in there in order to have both my hands available to hop these fences. So I feel them tipping more and more until eventually some just start to spill out of my leg. And we hopped a good 10 to 15 fences, and these people probably were going to wake up in the morning thinking the Easter Bunny visited their yard, with all these footprints running through and colored balls everywhere. But finally, we hopped our last fence and got back onto the road. We were very careful and made sure to look both ways to make sure that nobody was around and make sure that cop was out of sight. But Hayden, Idaho has some of the worst street lighting I have ever seen in my fucking life. Half of every road is just pitch black, and you can't see what's ahead until you get to the next street light. So we're staring ahead the road in both directions. It's pure darkness. So we let out a sigh of relief and start walking back towards my house. Suddenly, in the distance, in the pure darkness, like something straight out of a movie, we see Charger taillights just light up in the sky, just a floating red bar of taillights, like they're hitting their brakes. We're like, oh fuck, because we knew that this was the cop's Charger, and that meant that if he turned off his fucking like cop lights, he was looking for us, and now that we were gone, he turned them off and was just fucking patrolling the area again. So we're like, this is not fucking good, we need to get home quick. So after this, we get that cop is out of sight, we start sprinting towards my house because we were really close to my house. And sprinting this was the most painful thing of my life after running for that long. Like, I thought I was moving really fast, but I imagine I was running just about as quick as sprinters after they do a marathon, you know, thinking you're going mad quick, but you're moving like 2 miles an hour. So we fucking run, hop hopped the gate to my backyard and then jumped through my window into my room. As soon as we got inside, I figured since my parents never called me, they never even knew I left, so I went to unlock my door, and sure enough, my note was still taped to the door. So I took that down, and me and James finally sat down to warm up and catch our breath, finally. Not even a minute later, there's a knock on my door, and it's my mom's boyfriend. So me and James panic, thinking that we just got caught, but he was literally just trying to restart the argument that happened before we snuck out and left for the entire night. It was like 3 to 4 in the morning, and this meant that if I was sleeping, he just came to my door and opened it to start an argument while I was sleeping, because he was still fucking drunk. So I literally like, he looks at us trying to argue, and then suddenly he cuts himself out. He's like, why are you guys' cheeks so red? Like, you look freezing cold. And I'm like, oh yeah, we got hot and opened the window. I forgot to close it. His drunk ass believed that. He fully 100% believed that and was just like, oh, okay. And then said one more thing trying to argue and then left for the night. And so after that, that's when it really hit me and James how much luck really was on our side. Because had we kept walking any longer to the 2-man out in Post Falls, walked any longer to the party down in Coeur d'Alene, went to a bathroom one more time, or even so much as stopped to tie our shoe, my mom's boyfriend would have came back to my room and seen that note and seen that we were missing, and we would have gotten in even more trouble for sneaking out. So we could not believe how much luck was on our side this entire night, but it was late, we were tired, we were in pain, so we got some well-needed rest. James had to be gone early in the morning, so we did not get much sleep, but I woke up in the most excruciating pain of my life. My right foot hurt so bad, I could not even put it on the ground or put even a fucking millimeter of pressure on this shit. But my left foot was in just as much pain. Like, my entire body was fucking destroyed. And I can definitely attribute this to the fact that I wore low Vans with 0 ankle support, and that was literally the worst shoes I could have worn for the terrain I had to trek that night. But regardless, me and James' bodies were fucking destroyed. And not long after we woke up, his mom came to pick him up and he had to leave. And not longer after he left, my mom and her boyfriend started fucking tweaking. Randomly, my mom's boyfriend saw the footsteps of me and James used to fucking sneak out and hop over the gate. And what I didn't know is by following each other's footprints, it made one set of footprint, and we accidentally framed my older brother for sneaking out because we did it right by his window without even realizing that that would happen. So they see that, they think that my brother snuck out. After a little bit more research, they see the other footsteps on the other side of the yard, and so they fucking go in and like interrogate my brother, like, did you sneak out last night? And he obviously didn't know shit about what they were talking about, so he's like, no, what are you talking about? And then so they're like, okay, so someone just ran through our yard to the other side and just ran through and left. That makes sense, right? They didn't believe him. They thought he was lying. So then they questioned me about it. I told them I don't know anything either. They start blaming my brother for it, and fucking they go about their day, right? No one gets in trouble though. Probably fucking 15 minutes after this, my mom and her boyfriend start tweaking once more. They couldn't get my brother in trouble because there was no evidence anyone did anything. But then now my mom's boyfriend's wallet was missing, and instantly they both come up to me. They're just like, did you fucking steal his wallet? And I'm like, no, I didn't fucking steal his wallet. I have no need to steal his wallet. He's got more fucking food stamps than cash in there and more credit card debt than Bill Gates' entire net worth. There's literally nothing in that wallet that I could fucking possibly need. Why would I fucking take that shit? And then so they're like, okay, well, if you didn't take it, then who did? I'm like, well, I don't fucking know. You probably got drunk and misplaced it. That's what you always do. And so we're having this argument going back and forth, but eventually I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. They think I stole this shit, so I'm just gonna help look for it. So I get up and I'm limping around this house. I'm fucking groaning. I am genuinely in so much pain. I want to get put on bed rest, put on a knee brace, and get fucking surgery. I don't know what I needed. I needed fucking something, right? And so I'm looking for this fucking wallet, and I knew his drunk ass fucking just misplaced it last night because he was up until 4 in the morning trying to argue. But I fucking go into the laundry room, and it's literally just sitting on the washing machine. So I grab it and go return it. They still thought I stole the wallet just because I was the motherfucker who found it. So after this, I genuinely started tweaking. I started calling his ass broke because at the time I had more cash than him, and I was in 8th grade. I had like fucking $4,000 in cash just sitting there. So I'm like, dude, I do not need your fucking money. I got more money than you. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then they still didn't believe me after that. So I'm like, you know what? You want to know why I could have not been the person who touched your wallet? I was not even fucking home last night since 7 p.m. until you came to my room in the morning. And so he still didn't believe me. So I started telling him I snuck out and did all this shit. And so he doesn't believe me, but my mom fully believes me. And she starts telling me, she's like, oh yeah? Well, if you fucking did all this, I'm going to go tell your dad that you snuck out, stole his wallet, and are being disrespectful. Like, blah, blah, blah. Because if my dad found out I did anything, I would have been grounded for 6 months minimum. Like, I would have been in so much fucking trouble. So instantly, I'm just pissed. Because I'm like, okay, I didn't do any of this shit, and the only reason I left last night is because y'all were being some fucking pricks, right? So I just get even more pissed. I'm like, okay, you want to go ahead and play that game? You want to tell my dad that? I'm gonna tell my dad that you're fucking unemployed adults here. We got food stamps. The house is disgusting, and fucking you give kids alcohol. You let kids drink and smoke. I start blackmailing the dog shit out of her. I blackmailed them so bad that both of them just shut up and dropped every single topic that we were talking about. Then I just walked to my room and got off without a lick of punishment. Because if she told my dad, I would have been grounded for minimum 6 to 12 months. So I figure, you want to tell my dad, we're gonna fuck around and tell CPS, get you grounded from your kids for 6 to 12 years. Do not play around with me like this. And so A couple days after this shit happens, I had to get ready for school. I was dirt broke, so I had one pair of jeans. That pair of jeans is what I wore the night I snuck out. So at like 6 in the morning, I'm trying to get ready for school. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll wear my jeans. I'm gonna have a nice fit today. I pick up those jeans to see that the back of them is coated, lathered, covered in shit. So I dropped those real quick and just fucking got the 1,000-mile stare forward, because apparently my pilled out brain was doing everything wrong and just spraying the back of my pants every time I had to go take a shit. So I'm sitting like, oh God. This makes so much sense though. This makes so many things from the rest of this night make so much sense. Why was every gas station worker looking at us crazily like they were gonna call the cops or CPS? I had bloody hands and shit going all the way down my pants. Why did the fucking cops probably get called on us from Walmart? Because I went in there, probably got caught stealing fucking those Airheads because they just saw some kid with bloody hands and shit coating down his pants, bright red cheeks, walking in and stealing Airheads and then walking out of the store at 2 in the morning to just walk around in freezing cold weather at night. They definitely called the cops. That's why they were patrolling the area on our walk home. But realistically, the fact that somehow every single 2-man and every single party we set up that night failed saved me. Genuinely saved my life. Can you imagine what it would do to a man's reputation if he pulled up to the party bright red, bloody hands and shit down the back of his pants in front of the hose? Would be detrimental so fucking bad, right? So I'm like, that actually saved my fucking life. I'm staring at these pants thinking about all this. This is all rushing through my head. So I grab those fuckers. I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. Throw them in the washing machine. I'm having a million thoughts while going back to the fucking bathroom to brush my teeth. And that's when I realized that I definitely just had the craziest night of my life until a couple months later. I hope y'all enjoyed that second story, and I feel like I shouldn't even have to say this, but out of every single video on my channel, never ever attempt what you just saw in my last video. I'll have all types of people sending me messages being dead serious asking if they should recreate this. No. Why would you do that? You see the actions and the consequences. Never ever do that. But up next, we have the story of the time that I snuck out and lost my virginity on Halloween. Halloween is one of the most fun holidays that we have. No matter what age group you're in, dressing up in a costume and going outside of the house is some of the most fun you can have on any holiday. Whether you're going out for candy or going to a party, something interesting will happen. But what if I told y'all me being grounded on Halloween led to me taking my first dab, sneaking out of the house, losing my virginity, and running from cops all in the span of only 10 hours? In order to understand how we got here, we need to go all the way back to my freshman year of high school. I was only 14 years old at the time, and we were midway through October of 2020. I was looking for any and every move I could possibly have on Halloween, because the thing was, I was grounded, and I had been grounded for just about 2 months. The first week of my high school career, I got suspended. I was the first kid in the entire state suspended, actually, and it was all because I got caught with a vape. I had to take the fall for a bunch of people, some boring stuff, right? But my dad was livid that I was the first kid suspended. He was just livid I was suspended. So he grounded me, and I was still grounded from like the 2 months prior when this took place. But I had managed to convince my parents to let me go hang out and just hang out with friends, do something fun on Halloween. And so I was extremely happy my parents actually said yes, because I thought there was no chance I was going to be able to go out and do anything. So I was trying to make sure that this was the most fun night of my life. I was making sure I had a backup plan for my backup plan for my backup plan. There was no shot I was about to let any plans fall through, because this was my one chance to have fun in like 2 months. So I'm like, I'm about to go do something. And the thing was, I was friends with a lot of people, and especially these seniors over at a different school, and they invited me to one of their parties. I had also found out about at least 3 other parties and just as many things as I could do in general, and I was texting all of my friends off of my old Google Pixel, because my parents grounded me, so they took my phone, my laptop, my Alexa, they took everything in my room down to my door, and I had absolutely nothing. I was bare bones, right? And so every time I'd get grounded and this would happen, I had an old Google Pixel. Once I got my new phone, my parents kept my older phone downstairs in their room. So whenever I got grounded, I would sneak down there, I would pop that phone out of its phone case, leave the phone case in there, and I would sign into Snapchat off that phone and just text everybody off of there. So I was finding out about a bunch of moves on Snapchat, but I could not bring a single one of these up to my parents because I was obviously grounded. So I needed to act like I found out about this information at school. Then I'd have to come off of school tomorrow and just ask about any of these plans. But I had at least 5 parties and as many moves as possible lined up, so I knew no matter what, I was about to have a fun time on Halloween. So I just ended up going about my night normally, eventually fell asleep. I got up the next day and went to school, and this was the week leading up to Halloween, so everybody at school was kind of just, everyone was just in their Halloween spirit, I guess the best way to put it, just like the vibes were in the air. So this was a long day for me, because I'm just waiting to get home, wait for my parents to get off of work, so that way I can ask them about the plans. But finally, the school day ends, so I walk on home, wait for my parents to get home, and so I was about to ask to go to that party with all of the seniors from that other school, but Obviously, I was not about to say party, seniors, any of that, because that was going to be an instant no from my dad. This man was so strict that he basically monitored the amount of fresh oxygen I could intake outside. And so I'm sitting there, I am plotting because I needed to go to this party. And one of the seniors, my friends at that party, his name was Bryce, and this dude had acid for me to try. And 14-year-old me was trying to do anything I could get my hands on, because the thing was, with strict parents, I say this in almost all my videos, if your parents are extremely strict, it's like living in a closed world, a closed map. You don't know what the outside world is like. So if you get a chance to go out into the outside world and actually try it, you're gonna go try it. You know what I'm saying? And so I heard acid, I heard party. 14-year-old me was like, yeah, we're going. Yeah, I'm down. That's it, right? And so I finally wait, and my dad comes home. So I'm going up. I'd been plotting this whole time because, like I mentioned, my dad is extremely strict. So I have to literally like make some beautiful art piece of a plan, some beautifully illustrated like Disney movie damn near, because it's got to be rated G in order for me to go. So I walk out over to him and I'm like, hey, can I go out over to my friend Bryce's on Halloween? It's just gonna be me, him, maybe 2 other of his friends, and we'll just be at the house the entire night. This man immediately says, nah, I have to meet his parents. I've never met his parents. And I'm like, meet his parents? I'm 14. What do you mean? I'm in high school. What do you mean meet his parents? I have his phone number. Like, you can call his parents. Nope, I need to meet him. I'm not calling them. And I'm like, I gave you the option to talk to him. He literally was just saying no for absolutely no reason. This was like literally the most like I don't even know, the most pitch perfect night I could have pitched him. He said no to. So I was sitting there just drawing a blank. I'm like, there's no way he just said no to this. So I walk back to my room. I'm defeated. I immediately start searching for anything, right? And throughout the course of the week, I went up to my dad. I asked him about every single party, every single move, anything I had found out about. I went up and asked, being like, yo, can I go to this? He shut down every single one instantly, just said no. So I was feeling so defeated walking back to my room, but I was not about to cut my losses here, because this was the first fun thing I had the chance to do in my entire high school career. I'd been grounded the whole time, so I was not going to cut my losses. I went back to my room, and once it got late enough, I popped out my Google Pixel. I started texting anybody that I could find, right? And eventually, my homeboy Brian hits me back, and he's just like, yo, there's going to be a kickback on Halloween over at Anthony's. Later into the night, it's going to turn more from kickback to party, and you're more than welcome to come. I replied with a bet at basically the speed of light, because Anthony's house was basically a trap home. Not a single good thing went on there. I don't think anything in that house was illegal, from PDF files to like illegal substances. Almost anything you can think of that's illegal was happening there. Everything there was so illegal, in fact, that not a single person in that house has a chance at seeing this video for 15 to 20 years, because they're all either in jail or prison. This was a 3-bedroom apartment that had over 5 people living in it. It was dirty, it was gross, but it was awesome, right? And so I replied to Brian, I'm like, bet I'm coming over to this. Like, awesome, thank you for letting me know about this, right? And so I was mad excited about this, because I found a party with a friend that my dad already somewhat knew, so he was more likely to say yes to this than any of the other things I had asked about. But of course, it was Thursday, so I had to wait until tomorrow to get off school and ask about going to this party. So I went to bed, I went to school the next day, and I had to track down Brian, because I needed to make sure that this party was actually about to happen and that this kickback was still going, because with the amount of plans that I had fall through, I needed to make sure that this was solidified and it was gonna happen. But of course, I talked to Brian, everything was all good, it was still in the works, it was still good. So I was like, bet, okay, I just gotta go ask my dad, everything will be all good. So I get off school, I go home, I wait around, finally my dad comes home. And so I go up, I start talking to him, like, hey, can I go hang out with Brian on Halloween? He just immediately says yes, didn't even ask a single question. And this literally made me so confused, because he was questioning me about every single other thing, but actually going to a friend's house and staying at the house for like the night basically was out of the question. But hanging out with one of my friends, walking around the town freely with no limits, doing whatever I wanted, no restrictions, without a cell phone, no way to contact me, was somehow okay. I was super confused by this, but I was not complaining. I was just super happy, and I went back to my room. Probably about an hour or two passed before eventually my parents called up to my room letting me know dinner was ready. So I came out of my room, I went downstairs, I ate dinner. After I ate dinner though, my goal was to stay up as late as possible, because I never ever liked being at my dad's house. My parents got divorced at the age of 2. Ever since that time, it was miserable for me to go over there. There was just nothing for me to do, and I got treated terribly. So I was just like, I never liked being there, never liked interacting with them. So I'm like, I am gonna stay up as late as possible, so that way I can basically just sleep in until when I have to leave for this party, and just basically just be able to get up and just go to this party and just have a good day and be fully rested. So I stayed up as late as I could. I was on my phone, I was texting people. Eventually though, I fell asleep. I woke up probably about 1. I know I woke up past noon, and I got up, I sprung out of my bed like a kid on Christmas. I jumped up, I started getting ready, my whole fit for the day, and then then I went outside, ate breakfast, got up in the shower. Whole time, I'm happy as hell. I'm about to go and have a fun day. It's Halloween. I'm excited for the day. So I get out of that shower, and finally, it's just about time for me to go over to this like party where Brian's at. So I start running downstairs to go and get onto my bike. That's when my dad stops me and looks at me. He's like, "Oh, just so you know, you need to be home before dark." This was soul crushing to hear because it was October. Sunset was basically 6:30. Like, it was negative daytime nowadays. So I'm like, "You're really having me home before sunset, before dark?" This was soul crushing news. But regardless, I was not about to let this ruin my day. This was the first fun thing I was able to do in my entire high school career. So I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'll be home by sunset." Sprinted downstairs and I got on my bike. By the time I left my house, it was just about 3 o'clock, and I started pedaling as fast as I could because I had way less time than I initially thought I would. It was looking like I wasn't even going to be able to stay for the time this kickback was going to turn to a party because sunset was like 6:30 to 7 o'clock. So I'm pedaling over there with basically just anger and rage filling my legs, pumping me all the way over there. And the faster I go, the colder it gets because it's October. The cold, crisp air is cutting straight through my clothes, and I can feel my timbers getting shivered. And so I'm pedaling over there as fast as I could. It was no more than a 15-minute bike ride. It was like 2 miles away from my house, and it was directly next to the school that I went to at the time. And so I pedaled over there as fast as I could. Eventually I pulled up to this like apartment complex they were at right by this gas station. I locked up my bike right outside Anthony's house, and then I called up Brian. Brian came over. He unlocked the door fairly quick. I don't even think I got half of my body inside of that apartment before he looked at me and he was like, "Yo, you want a dab?" 14-year-old me did not even know what a dab was, but like I explained at the start of the story, I would have done acid the second it got handed to me with no questions asked. I was looking to do absolutely anything. So I was like, "Oh yeah, bet, let me do that," right? So they bring me inside, they take me over to where the dab station is. They had like this dragon, it was a glass dragon. It was one of the coolest dab setups I'd ever seen. They start lighting up this dragon piece, and it's the mouth that you have to like suck off of, and then like the tail's where the dab actually went or something. I don't really remember. I was faded, and this was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, but I go up in there, I start taking that dab. They light this thing until it is flaming hot red. This was the hottest dab I'd ever taken. It was my first dab. So I go to take this thing. It literally feels like this dragon is spitting flames into my lungs. I'm taking this like right? I'm like tweaking, right? I start coughing up a storm. Like, it starts to get so bad. And so I'm sitting there coughing my lungs out, and then everybody else goes around and they all start taking dabs as well. After everybody took their dab, me and Brian went to go sit down on this one couch, but the setup to this apartment was super weird because, like I explained, it was not a nice place. This place was a trap home. They had 2 couches in there, and they were both right behind each other. They were not no type of setup. It was literally TV, couch, and if my memory is serving me right, over on the back right side of like their living room, there was some type of air mattress or bed, and also like some chair. It was a weird setup, but this was a weird place, so I mean, it fit, right? And so me and Brian go to sit on this couch that's closest to the wall, and we sit down on there, and I feel like I instantly start fusing to this couch because I don't know why, but stoners see you taking your first dab as some type of initiation. They try to get you as baked as possible, and they did to me. They gave me one of the biggest dabs I'd ever taken, and it was my first dab. They lit this thing up so hot that it felt like I had a 9-month pregnant baby in my lungs kicking around trying to get out of me. I didn't even know what was going on, but I was just feeling more and more baked. And it's just past 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm sitting on this chair. I feel a symphony of music playing in my head. It felt like there was a music conductor in there just literally like instructing a symphony. I just hear this like majestic music playing in the back of my head. I'm sitting like, oh my god, this is awesome. And right when that music starts playing, that's when the most euphoric feeling of my life starts from my stomach and starts spreading across my entire body. As this feeling spreading across my body, I feel myself fusing into this couch. Like, me and this couch feel like we are one now. I am baked out of my mind. And so we were on that far couch, and then on the TV, Anthony and a couple of his other friends were playing some type of game. I have no idea what game it was, but like 3 or 4 of them were playing it. It was like some type of fighting game, and I had never seen this game in my life, but it was the most interesting thing I have ever seen. I felt like my baked mind could comprehend things the sober mind never thought were possible. This game made perfect sense to me. I felt like I knew everything about it. I mean, it was a simple game, but my baked mind was like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I was locked in on this game. I was literally spacing out on this game for, I honestly don't know how long. I have no idea how long. I just have that music in the back of my head. I'm fused to this couch. I feel euphoric as hell, and I'm spacing out on this game. All of a sudden, Brian's right next to me, and he gets up to go and make food. The second I hear the word food, That's when I realized how fucking hungry I am, because I'd been sitting on this couch just spacing out watching this game, not even thinking about anything. I hear the word food, I would have started eating that couch that second I heard that. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry. And so all of a sudden Brian gets up, he goes to go make his hot pocket. I'm sitting on this couch and I don't even know if I can get up. I was baked out of my mind. Even the thought of trying to get up made the music in my head 10 times louder and made my entire high distort. Like my entire body, everything was like, nah, you're just chilling here, man, you cannot get up, right? So I'm spacing out this TV. I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna try to focus on this game because this music is getting too loud and I'm starting to feel kind of weird. So I'm spacing out this TV until all of a sudden the smell of Brian's hot pocket he was cooking starts wafting over to me. And just like a cartoon, like smelling over to that pie starts floating over there, this made me gain the ability to just get up and start doing whatever I wanted. It felt like this snapped me out of a trance. Instantly I smell that hot pocket, music's cut off, I get detached from that couch, just jump up and I'm like, oh, I'm ready, I need a hot pocket. So I start going over there to go cook a hot pocket because Brian just took his out of the microwave, but my stoned ass did not know what I was doing. I just opened up a freezer, I see these hot pockets, I'm like, oh hell yeah. I grab that, throw it on a plate, slap it in the microwave for like 4 to 4.5 minutes, because I just remember thinking, I'm like, oh, I just want to make sure this is cooked. I don't want a cold hot pocket. Cold hot pockets are so gross. So I sit there, I'm staring at this microwave, and I'm just like, I don't even remember what I was thinking. I'm just so baked that I'm just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into my mind. Like, there's one thought that happens, and all of a sudden I see another thought inside that. I'm just going deeper and deeper into basically like a Russian nesting doll type of thing until I'm not even like here anymore. There's lights on, but nobody's home. I'm just thinking, right? Until all of a sudden the microwave just starts beeping. I didn't even know that the full 4 minutes had passed, because in my mind I'm like, oh, if it starts popping or anything, I'll just take it out early. I did not do none of that. The 4 minutes just is up, all of a sudden it's beeping. I'm like, oh, hot pocket's ready. So I open up the microwave, grab that out, and then I start walking back over to that couch where Brian's at. And so I go to start eating this hot pocket, but it was damn near the temperature of the sun. My baked ass didn't care though. I didn't even realize. I just started eating this. My first bite that I took, steam was pouring out of the hot pocket and steam was coming out of my mouth as I ate it. And I continued to eat this thing. The cheese in this hot pocket was probably well past boiling temperature. I am burning the ever-living shit out of my mouth. I'm literally sitting there doing that. Sound like a fucking rabid dog getting food for the first time in a couple months while I'm eating this, trying to suck as much air into my mouth as possible to cool it down. I finished that hot pocket in less than a minute. Keep in mind, Brian got his hot pocket 4 minutes before mine even came out of the microwave. I finished mine before he did, and that's what made me realize that how quick I ate that hot pocket. I'm like, oh, this is not good. And the thing was, I kept feeling like my mouth was like slightly like hot, you know what I'm saying? But then Brian was like, how did you eat that so fast? That thing was literally steaming. Your mouth has got to be burnt. He says that, and also I start opening my mouth. I'm like, oh god, my mouth hurts so bad. My mouth is burnt as hell. Oh my god, this is bad, it's so bad. My mouth was burnt as shit, but I really couldn't realize it because I was still flying off this dab, and I could only feel my mouth in pain when I really focused on it. So I kind of just sat back down, kind of laughed it off, and just spaced off at that TV until suddenly I started to feel less and less baked and more in pain. And as I was coming down off this dab, the sun was also coming down and starting to set, so I realized that I needed to start to get home soon. But I was feeling so tired and out of it, because the thing is, your first, like, the come down off of weed in general, it makes you tired, it makes you like whatever, right? The come down off your first dab though, that will make you want to go curl into a ball in your bed and go into hibernation for 13 years. You get so tired off that first come down from a dab that you could probably fall asleep standing up. So I'm damn near nodding off on this couch, and I'm like, oh my god, no, I need to get going home soon. I look outside, it's starting to get dark. I'm like, okay, this is bad, I need to get on my bike. So eventually I say peace out to Brian, you know, I say like bye to everybody, get on my bike, I start pedaling home, right? And so whole time I'm going home, I'm pretty mad because I can't stay until a party's gonna happen. Because more people were starting to pull up while I was there, and I could tell it was gonna be a fun night, and I just could not be there for it. But with every like 5 yards I go, every 5 yards I pedal, I start feeling more and more sober and in more pain. There was not a single crevice of my mouth that was not in excruciating pain from this Hot Pocket. That Hot Pocket successfully destroyed every taste bud I had and my entire tongue, as well as my gum line and anything that stood between its way from my mouth to my stomach. That thing was boiling hot. Like, I cannot stress enough how hot that Hot Pocket was. And I was also starting to get cotton mouth the more I was riding that bike, which just made my tongue literally feel like the cracking dry dirt in the Sahara Desert. I felt like the entire thing was breaking open. I felt like I was gonna start bleeding from my mouth. I'm not even kidding. It was so unbelievably painful. But the more I'm riding towards my house is the more I'm sobering up too. Like every 5 yards, like I said, I'm sobering up more and more, and I'm just getting so tired. Like I'm questioning if I'm even gonna seem like I'm sober by the time I get to my house because I feel so out of it. And I'm also starting to just get more and more mad while I'm riding home because like this is why one time that I get to do something fun. Like I've been grounded on every major holiday for the past 2 years, including my own birthday. This is the first fun thing I get a chance to do, and I can't even fully enjoy it. This made me so unbelievably mad inside that right then and there, I decided I'm sneaking out tonight, no matter what. Doesn't matter if there's a move, I'll go find one, you know, like I'm doing something fun tonight, regardless of what is going on. Like, I do not care. And so I got home and I was so out of it. Like, I was feeling so tired, so out of it. I did not want to be seen by my parents or have to talk to them. So I went straight to my room, and then I decided I was going to take a bath, because if I went into the bathroom, I could take a long bath, I could get on my phone, I could be baked. They would not go in there, they couldn't see what I was doing, I couldn't get in any trouble. And I will never forget going in there, getting in that bath to go and try and text people on Snapchat to find more moves to do. I fell asleep and woke up underwater. I woke up underwater. I literally opened my eyes and I couldn't breathe, and I just popped back up from that water. I didn't even know what happened. Like, I was so terrified. I was so shocked. I'm like, what is going on? I got out of the bath right then and there. I'm like, I am apparently too fucked up to take a bath. I didn't even know that was a thing. But I woke up underwater and I was so confused. I'm like, how long was I underwater? How was I not breathing in? So many questions, but like, I was just happy that nothing happened. Obviously, I didn't breathe in any water. So I got out of that bath. I went to my room and I got on my phone to start texting people. I stayed there for the rest of the night. And I was just so sad, so defeated. I'm just sitting there just feeling empty, feeling depressed, because like, I spent this entire week preparing, working, trying so hard to set up as many moves as possible, so that way nothing would fall through and I would have a fun day on Halloween. But somehow every single thing had fallen through and nothing was working out. At this point, I had hit up almost every single person in the state of Idaho, and not a single person was responding. Every single text that I did get a response to, I couldn't even manage to get to wherever the party was, whatever the move was, nothing was working out. So I was starting to get super upset looking at my phone, thinking I was just gonna have to stay at home for the rest of the night, until eventually I look at my phone and I get a text from this one chick I had hit up a couple hours ago. She was telling me that she was staying over at her friend's house, but she was willing to sneak out of her friend's house, meet up, and do some things. I was 14 years old, and staring at this text felt like holding the goddamn holy grail, because you see, the thing was, me and my friend James had a bet to see who could lose our virginity first, all the way back since 7th grade. A couple months prior to this, he had beat me, and so at this point, I already lost the bet. It was just about of like how big the gap between us was gonna be, and I would be damned if that was a big old gap. So I was trying to get that closed quick and get this done. So I was staring at that text. I was giddy as hell. I was so happy. We just waiting to fucking sneak out. So I jump out of my bed. I start throwing together my sneaking out uniform. But the thing was, it was 11 o'clock and I had to wait a good 2 hours until I went to meet up with this chick. So I was just laying out my uniform, getting ready for the night. And where I live in October, the nightly temperature on average is well below freezing. So I had to get together a bunch of clothes just to make sure that I was not cold, and then I laid that all out on the ground to get ready to sneak out. And after I laid everything out on the ground, I jumped up in my bed and started patiently waiting, because I still had 2 hours until I was able to sneak out, go meet up at this park with this chick. And so time was gonna move so slow, and I knew it was about to. So I start thinking of every single potential outcome that could come from me sneaking out, because I needed to move as smart as possible. Because a month to a month and a half prior to this, it was literally the night before my first day of high school, I decided to sneak out. I was actually going to meet up with the same chick and go do the same type of things. And so I go to sneak out of my house. As I'm exiting my neighborhood, a cop turns down the street into my neighborhood. Like, could not have been worse timing. I'm getting up to the stoplight. They turn from that stoplight and start coming into my neighborhood. And so I see that cop. I'm like, oh, I can't panic. I'll just start walking up to this house, act like I live at this house. So I start doing that, walking up to this random house, because it was well past midnight. And so they could just arrest me. They would obviously try to talk to me. So I walk up to that house. I get to the front door. The cop stops at the end of their driveway, and we're just staring at each other, locking eyes, me and this like chick. And so I'm staring at her, she's staring at me, and I'm like giving her this kind of look like, what are you doing? Why are you looking at me trying to go in my house? Like, get away from me, you're being weird. I'm trying to give off that vibe, till suddenly she stomps on the gas and just starts going away. And so I'm like, that was a little weird. I don't trust this. So I peek my head around the corner. That's when I see that she has her lights on now and is turning around to come right back down to that same house, except for with the passenger end on my side now. So I'm like, this is not good. But that was literally the stupidest thing she could have done, was just lose, like literally just go down the street and lose sight on me to come back around with your siren. Just turn them on right there. What are you doing? Literally, she did that. I knew. I'm like, okay, well, I'm finna get arrested if I do anything. So I just hopped into the backyard of that house, started running through their backyard, hopped over another backyard. I accidentally ended up in an outside dog kennel. Scared me so bad. I literally woke up the dog. He started like barking, and so I jumped over the kennel. I actually broke the kennel. Like, I fell outside of the kennel over it on like my back type of thing. And then after that, I hopped over their fence, fence into the actual street, and that's when I saw the cop going down. So I was playing a game of cat and mouse with this cop, and I'm still in my neighborhood by my house, and so I just start sprinting. I'm hopping fences. I eventually get back home. I kept seeing that cop throughout my neighborhood, and then so I didn't even end up actually getting to go meet up with the chick after this. I stayed at my house, tried to sneak out. It was like 3, 4 in the morning, so I'm like, nope, I'm just cooked. I'm done for. I can't do anything. I won't get back home in time. So I ended up just going upstairs, getting in my bed, going to sleep. The next day, my dad's like, hey, Owen, why do you have over 7,000 stops, average heart rate of like 90 beats per minute, and I can't even remember how many miles I had ran, but it was all on my Apple Watch. My Apple Watch had basically snitched on me. My dad was just asking me what I did, and I'm like, oh, I was just super nervous. First day of high school today. I just really was nervous. I was up pacing around all night. I don't know why. He got mad at me for like being up late and pacing around, but he completely believed my story. So I was like, oh, okay. But I just had to move extremely smart because I did not want a repeat of what that night did. I was trying to make sure that I was moving as smart as I possibly could, just playing as many scenarios in my head, thinking of any potential outcome or problem that I could run into when sneaking out. But as long as I moved smart, the only problem I could think of was simply just the cold and running into cops. So I just made sure I had extra clothes and I should be good, because my Apple Watch also would not be an issue because I was grounded from my phone and everything, including my Apple Watch. So I literally had nothing. That wouldn't be an issue. So I was thinking I was going to be good. And as I'm thinking about all this, I'm starting to realize it's getting later into the night and I will be able to sneak out fairly soon. And time had been moving so goddamn slow this entire day. Like from going to the party, that time moved. From going to the party, that was moving real slow, and now time is moving even slower from a combination of fear of something going wrong when I sneak out and the excitement of about to lose my virginity. Like the excitement I felt for losing my, like literally I was yin and yang. I had all my terrible energy about getting caught and all my positive energy about, oh, you about to lose it. So I was like, I had so many emotions going through my body as this was happening, but I just was hyped, you know? I basically already had preemptive adrenaline flowing through me before I'm even going to sneak out. So I texted the chick to let her know that I would be leaving the house soon, and once I left my house, I would not be able to text because my phone only worked in Wi-Fi since it was a burner I stole from my parents. But I need to make sure she's seen this text, so I texted her like 30 minutes before I was about to leave just to make sure nothing could go wrong, because if I had sent that text right when I was about to leave and I left the house and all of a sudden she tries to text back being like, oh no, I can't go anymore, I would just be out in the night pointlessly walking for no reason at all. So I need to make sure that everything was good, everything was solid. She ended up replying fairly quickly, just being like, okay, sounds good, like I'll let you know, just let me know when you leave. And so I was like, bet, okay. Then I just waited in my bed. I was back to the waiting game. I had like 30 more minutes until I was gonna leave, but those last 30 minutes felt just as long as that hour and a half I was waiting. I was just sitting there just so excited to leave and lose my virginity. Every time was moving so slow. I could feel every single second passing by. But finally, 20 minutes passed. I had like 10 minutes until I was about to leave and try to go to this park, and so I sprung out of bed, threw on my entire sneaking out uniform, and then started making a dummy setup in my bed, because my dad would very consistently throughout my entire life just come up to my room and open my door while I was sleeping, like literally from like baby age up until I got kicked out of his house. He was always doing that. And so I would make sure that my dummy setup was like, I would fall asleep with hoodies on very consistently, so it really helped me with making a dummy setup. I'll try to make this thing look as perfect as possible. I would get a body pillow, and then I would put a hoodie over that body pillow, and then in the hood of the actual hoodie I would put a bucket hat to make it look like a full head was actually in there. Then I would put that underneath the covers, and sometimes even put some extra pillows or extra things out down at the end to make it look like my legs were spread out. It literally looked like a full human was in the bed, and it worked perfectly every single time. And so after I set up my dummy setup, I grabbed my shoes and I started creeping out of the hallway. I was trying to be as quiet as possible because my door creaked pretty loudly, and so once I got that open, that wasn't even the least of my worries. The floorboards of my house were like the wooden panels that you click in together, and they are so creaky, especially because they were already over other wood that was even more creaky. So it was just creaks on creaks on creaks, and I would have to jump around on the balls of my feet to try to be as quiet as possible. After I got past that hallway, I would have to work my way over to where my sliding door was located, and I had 2 dogs and a stepmom that were all 3 extremely light sleepers. So if I fucking made that door too loud and I was opening it, I was caught, I was cooked, I was done for. So I had to be extremely quiet when I would open that up, and then the second I would step outside, I would put my shoes on outside to once again be even more quiet, and then I would start walking out towards like my fence line to hop it. But I am not very superstitious about many things, but one thing I am extremely superstitious about was taking a piss in the corner of my yard before I snuck out. And I know it sounds stupid as hell, and it kind of is, but this all started because way back in the day, me and James, when we would go to sneak out, we would always stop in the corner of my yard to start taking a piss. This was for a couple reasons. This one was so that way we would not have to go to the bathroom while we were going out, because we didn't know what was going to happen the second we hopped over that fence, and going to the bathroom we did not want to have to do if we had to run, do anything, so we would just get our bladders emptied right there. The second reason was if we stopped down there to take a piss, if my parents caught us sneaking out and went outside to go check on things, we could easily act like we were just going to the garage to get a drink from like inside of the garage because there was a fridge in there with drinks. So there was a couple reasons why we did it, but also the fact that we were convinced we would get caught by either our parents or cops if we did not piss in there, because almost every single time that we got caught with stuff, it was because we didn't take a piss in that corner. Like the night that I almost got caught sneaking out to go meet up with that one chick first night of school, I didn't take a piss in that yard, almost got caught up. The night of the marathon video, also did not piss there, almost got caught up. So I was making sure that I pissed in that corner because I did not want to risk a single thing. And after that was done, I hopped over my fence, and there was a series of motion lights and cameras both on my house and the neighbor's house right next to me. So there was a very specific route I always took to avoid setting off any of these cameras or motion lights, but this time I had to take a bit of a different route, because remember at the beginning of the story when I was riding back from that kickback and I was super upset, I was just like, I'm definitely gonna sneak out tonight, like I'm going to do something, I do not care, I don't care if there's nothing to do, I will go out and I will find something to do, right? Well, when I got home, I decided to not put my bike in the garage. I decided to put it like propped up on the outside of my garage, out of the sight from any cameras, any people, or just any of the motion lights. And so by doing that, that meant that I could most likely get wherever I needed to go way faster, and I was just preparing myself for that. And so once I hopped over the fence, I had to grab my bike. This was just the start of my problems though, because now I have a bike in my hands and I have to jump over my fence and hop this thing into my neighbor's driveway in order to avoid setting off the Ring camera that was right above my garage. And so once I hopped over that fence, it was a challenge. This shit had me feeling like I was competing in some type of triathlon, like Iron Man or something. I was already gassed before I could even get on my bike. So after I got off of their driveway, I ran down to the road and I went to hop on my bike and I set off for the elementary school we were meeting up at. And I mean, that sounds so bad, but like, if y'all were wondering why we chose an elementary school to go to, that's because there was nowhere else to go. Zero options, you know what I'm saying? Because she was staying over at her friend's house, and so we couldn't just go up in her friend's fucking house and like go in her room where she was sleeping or anywhere else in the house. Nowhere else was open, so we couldn't just go to like some random place and just bang it out there. Not that that's good or anything, like not that you should do that, but like there were no other options. And this elementary school was directly next to her friend's house, and not only that, but right next to the elementary school, literally like there was barely, I don't even think there was like a fence line like blocking it. There was about 6 to 8 soccer fields, like all right next to each other, like 4 and then 4, and it was just a completely dark space where no lights were going to be on at night, and it would be a really good spot for us to just meet up, and we probably would not be seen there. And so I go to set off for the soccer fields and the like elementary school, and it is freezing cold. Every gust of wind I can feel cutting straight through like the 3 layers that I have on, which is 2 hoodies and a shirt. And not only that, but my hands felt like they were already about to turn red and like go numb from pain from the cold already. But thankfully, I had a pair of wool socks in my pocket that I would always wear whenever I snuck out and it was too cold for my hands, because especially being on this bike, it was gonna make my hands way more cold by just riding through this cold air. And so I went to slap on those socks onto my hands, and to be honest, I don't know why I always use socks, because I had bare minimum 3 pairs of snow gloves or just types of gloves that I had access to and in my room, but I still chose to just use wool socks. I really don't know why. But then again, clearly by the decisions I'm making, we know the best decisions were not always made by me, so I mean, it kind of fits. But thankfully, I had a bunch of layers on my body as well as a ski mask for my face, so I knew no matter how cold it was, I was going to be good for this ride, especially since it was only about 2 miles away from my house, so like a 15-minute bike ride, give or take. And so I start pedaling on there as fast as I can. This entire time I'm getting there as well, I am extremely on edge. I'm paranoid. I'm looking all over the place. I am way more on edge and on alert than I normally am. Like, if you're sneaking out, you always got to be on high alert. You need to know what's going on around you at all times, or you should not be sneaking out. I mean, not that you should in general, but you get what I'm trying to say. And so I'm constantly looking around me on this bike, because this is my first time ever sneaking out on just a bike. And the easiest way to get away from cops, which are my main concern, is by slipping through tight spaces, hopping fences, and just going places that their cop car cannot fit. And being on a bike, I couldn't hop any fences, so that terrified me. That was like my go-to number one thing, especially since where I was going, where the school was located, was basically suburbia, just houses for miles. So my only option was going to be hopping fences to get away from cops, and I was on a bike on just straight shot roads, so I was extremely paranoid. So this entire time, I am just praying I do not see a single cop, and this will just be a real quick in and out mission, just once and done back home, right? And so as I'm pedaling though, I am seeing more and more people in their Halloween costumes, and that shit was terrifying, because I don't care if it was Halloween or not. I am pumped, full of adrenaline. I am terrified. I'm on high alert, paranoid, spinning my head, looking for cops. I'm not thinking about Halloween. All of a sudden, I just see someone in a clown mask with a knife walking towards me. I think I'm about to get sex trafficked for a solid 7 seconds until I remember it's Halloween. I'm like, oh, okay. Keep pushing, going to the school, right? And so I was heading to the school. I started getting closer, so I was pedaling faster and faster, just try to get there because I was getting gassed, right? And so as I get to the school, I start pedaling to try to get over to that field complex because I felt like I could like get a better view from there as to where she was going to walk up towards. So I pedaled on over to that field complex, and I just posted up up there for a second, and I was waiting for a little while, and I just kept seeing people walk by in their costumes, and it was just so weird to me because it's past midnight. It is freezing cold, and I have 3 layers on, 4 layers on. You have a thin costume that's like basically quality of Shein clothes, and it's negative out. How are you walking just fine? Like, these people had to have been drunk, because it wasn't just like 1, 2 people. It was always groups of like 5 to 10, and at least 1 to 2 of the people were stumbling, and none of them had bags for candy. It's midnight. Y'all aren't trick-or-treating. Y'all are publicly drinking, right? And so I'm looking at these people. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. All of them are older than me as well. I'm like, how are so many people? I just remember that was just so weird to me. That's why I keep saying it's just so weird to me whenever I think about this. And so I was posted up there for a second. Probably saw 10 minutes passes by until all of a sudden I see one person walking in the distance with no costume on and like a blanket around them. So I'm like, that's probably my person right there. That's probably my person. Then they waved at me, which let me know it was definitely them, so I started approaching as well. Once we got together, we talked for a quick second while walking towards like the elementary school and out of the openness of all of those fields, and we were walking as quick as we could because it was freezing cold out. Especially because since we were in the fields, there was nothing to break the wind. We were just getting full force, 100% strength gusts of wind, and I had 3 layers on. I don't think it would have mattered how many layers I put on before I left the house. If I had 15 shirts on, this wind still would have found a way to cut straight through all of those layers and fucking penetrate me. I came here to lose my virginity, and I was getting fucked by the wind before I could even do anything. I was shivering, freezing cold. I just want to wrap this up and get going home. So I was sitting there, antsy, shivering. I'm like, come on, let's just do this. Let's just get out of here. And eventually she lays out that blanket. We both go to sit on top of the blanket, and that's when we immediately get soaking wet. All of my clothes get soaked because the thing was, it was October, so it got below freezing during the night, but every day it got up to like 60, 70, so it would just unfreeze right then and there, just constantly thawing and unthawing. So there was a bunch of water trapped underneath this ground that immediately soaked the blanket and anything touching the ground. So I was like, I came there to lose my virginity. I felt like I was doing the ice bucket challenge. I was miserable, and so I'm like, we need to wrap this up. We need to wrap this up. But since it was that cold, there is only one way to warm up. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get straight to business. So we start going into things, and let me tell y'all, it was unbelievably disappointing, bro. I was so fucking pissed. It was so freezing cold there that I could not feel a single thing touching me. Like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what is going on? Why can't I feel nothing? I was so confused. I didn't even know what was going on. Everything just felt cold. The wind is blowing. I'm like, oh, come on, man. I just want to get the fuck up out of here. You would have thought that I stripped down completely naked, went to the Antarctic glaciers, took a hike across all those snowy glaciers, then jumped in the water and got out from how cold I was. Feeling the wind go across the parts of my skin that got wet from the water in the ground felt like, I don't even know, man. It felt like death. It felt like death itself. It felt like I was so unbelievably miserable. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm getting deeper and deeper into my head as I'm thinking about this. I'm like, I'm cold, I'm miserable, this wind is terrible, I'm literally shivering, I can't feel a single thing. I'm just gonna be out here getting colder and colder and colder and colder and more miserable. Like, I can't feel anything, I'm just gonna get colder. This is so unbelievably bad. This is my first experience, and it's basically completely ruined. Like, at this point, I just want to go home and just at least say that I lost my virginity, have some type of story to tell my homeboy. And so I'm so deep in my head, I can't feel anything, I am miserable. I look up and across those fields I mentioned earlier. That's when I see some guy with a Jason mask and a chainsaw walking across the field. This scared me so bad, I almost popped up out here and started running home myself. But I mean, it was Halloween, right? Which obviously I'm not thinking about that. I'm fucking in the middle of an elementary school field, just nervous, right? And so this guy too, he came out of the tree line and was walking parallel in front of us. Like, I don't know where he came from. He literally just appeared and he was walking parallel, and he was the only person that entire night that I saw dressed up walking around that was not in a group. He was alone. It was the weirdest thing. Like, I did not know what was going on. Huh? All right, man, you just do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing over here, right? And so we're just going, and I keep thinking more and more. I'm like, damn, this is just stupid, right? I'm just getting colder and colder and colder, and probably another 10 to 15 minutes pass by. I start losing feeling in my fingertips down to my toes. Like, I can start to tell that I'm getting extremely cold. So I'm like, ooh, this is not turning good. This is starting to get real bad. Like, I need to start to get home. I literally cannot feel a single thing besides just pain, cold, and wet. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm supposed to be losing my virginity, man. Sex had basically been hyped up, thrown in my face like it was the best thing on the face of the earth, the best feeling you could possibly have, and I couldn't feel it. Couldn't feel shit. I was like, this is terrible, bro. What is going on? So I eventually am just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna just act like I came. I act like I come. Literally, the second I act like I come, I fucking pop up out here, rip that condom off me. I fucking throw that shit into the elementary school playground. And I know what you're thinking. Well, I honestly, no, I don't. I really don't know what the reaction to something like that is. But I did this for a couple reasons. Number one, so that way she would not know that I faked and was trying to like speed everything up and just get up out of there as quick as possible. And number two, I was pissed, bro. This was supposed to be a fun experience, losing my virginity. I was not about to carry a sad, empty empty condom all the way back home. No, I'm getting rid of that thing. Nah. So I threw that thing over there. I threw it over the fence line, same motion, same hand, went over, waved goodbye to her, and then I just started running, right? I started running over to my bike. Like, she really thought I was about to walk her home. Her friend's house was just down the street. My house was a couple miles home. You got me fucked up. You can walk yourself back home. I don't care, right? So I run over, jump up on my bike, and I start trying to ride back home. Right as I get past the actual elementary school, there's a roundabout just ahead of it, and I see headlights coming for that roundabout, and I'm on my bike. I'm just trying to get home as quick as I can. I'm cold. I'm miserable. I want to be home. All of a sudden, I see those headlights coming around that corner, and it is a sheriff car, though. I see their car come up around the roundabout. It's a sheriff car. Oh, that's a cop. That's a cop. That's a cop. Then they come off at the exit of that roundabout towards me. So I'm like, oh, well, they definitely see me, and now my worst fear of the entire night has come true. I am going to have to run from cops in a completely straight neighborhood with only fences with nowhere to go. And since I'm on my bike, I can't even hop any fences. So I am literally just terrified, because in the state of Idaho, if you're below the age of 18 and you see a cop past midnight, you're better off just running, because it's illegal for minors to be out past midnight. If you get caught up by a cop past midnight, you're either getting detained, arrested, or your parents called. No matter what, it's not good. You're just better off running. But in the back of my head, I'm like, it's Halloween. Maybe he just got a house call for some type of party, a noise complaint. Maybe they're not focused on me. And so right as I'm thinking that, that's when they flip on their lights and start turning around to come back up the road I was just going down. So I see them turn on their lights. This is when I start pedaling as hard as I can, and I take a right on the closest street to me, because I didn't want to lead them where I was actually going. I need to go straight for a couple more miles, but I'm like, no, the cops are on me. This is a bad situation. So I take a right down that road. As soon as I see this church parking lot, it was very well lit up. I cut right across there too, because I'm fairly sure it's going to be harder for them to weave through there. So I cut across through there onto this other road, and I wanted to look back to see if they saw me, because it was very well lit. I'm 100% sure they saw me, but there is no time to look back. My adrenaline is pumping. My heart is pumping. I don't even know where to go. I don't know what to do. I want to hop fences so bad, but I literally cannot leave my bike behind. My only choice is just to keep pushing. So I'm pedaling harder and harder and harder. I'm periodically turning down streets. I'm trying to put as many curves and obstacles between me and that cop as possible. I'm not even looking behind, but eventually I get a little bit further. I'm trying to get over towards this bike path, and I start looking behind me. I don't see a single cop when I look behind me, but I still keep pushing harder and harder and harder, because these cops never gave up when it came to finding us. A perfect example of this is my last video, but I knew it was just a matter of time before these cops started multiplying and spreading like a disease. But that's when I started to realize that if this cop really was looking for me, they probably thought I either lived in this neighborhood or was going somewhere in the neighborhood. And if more cops were to come into the neighborhood, they would all start searching over there. So any of the cops in the area would get called into the neighborhood. And in order to get to the bike path I was going to, I would have to go way more into the actual neighborhood. Whereas if I took this other road, I could get to more of a main road where there would be more traffic and it would be more risky. But I was willing to take that gamble rather than risking being in the neighborhood and getting caught or seen by any other cops and having to run away from them even harder, because I was already starting to get gassed. And so I take that gamble. I take a right down that road and start heading for that main road. And as I'm looking behind me, I don't see a single thing. Everything is eerily still. Nothing is moving. There's no sound in the air. All I can hear is my heartbeat and my breath. Even the wind had came to a dead stop. All I could feel was my adrenaline. I'm just looking around. I'm on high alert. But I end up getting back up onto that main road, riding all the way through there and turning into my actual neighborhood. Once I got into my neighborhood and out of sight from the main road, I started to slow down and take deeper breaths to try to slow down my heart rate, stop my adrenaline, so I could be much more quiet and careful sneaking into my house. I did this until I got probably about 4 houses away from mine. Then I hopped off my bike and started to walk it to my house, because I needed to be very, very careful about all those cameras, all those lights, because I had a bunch of adrenaline, but I still needed to move really smart. And so I started walking over there. Eventually I got close to my fence line, hopped over that, propped up my bike against the garage, hopped my fence, went up into my room, and finally was able to warm up and go to sleep. Thank you so much to those of y'all who made it to the end of the video. I'm going to have a lot more videos just like this coming out to the channel here very soon. So if you enjoy the stories, make sure to subscribe. And if y'all have any comments about anything with the story or just anything in general, any questions, go ahead and leave those down below. I'll try to respond to as many of them as I can. And once again, as always, don't try to recreate anything you see in these videos. This was me being a dumbass 14-year-old dumbass teenager. So stay safe. Don't do the shit that I do. And I hope all y'all enjoy the videos. But I will have a lot more videos coming to the channel here very soon, as well as a podcast coming out in November. And if you want any more content, you can also go ahead and follow my TikTok, but I will see y'all in the next one. And after the Halloween story, it only feels right to move to the next holiday that I have a video about, which would be Christmas. So here's the video, or the story of the time that I ran away on Christmas. Everybody, it's almost Christmas time, which means it is only right that I tell y'all the story of how my 8th grade Christmas led to me running away from home forever, and also finding out that my mom was the one beating her boyfriend and wearing the pants in the relationship. A little bit of a wild intro, I know, but trust me, we are just getting started. In order to understand this story fully, we need to go all the way back to my 7th grade year of middle school. As many of y'all know, both of my parents are divorced, but for this specific story, we will just be focusing on my mom's side of the family. At my mom's house during 7th grade, there were 5 people living in my house. My mom, my stepdad, my brother, and my sister plus me. Midway through 7th grade, probably about November, stepdad starts taking woman pills and turns into stepmom. No big deal. My parents had been married for about fucking 8-9 years, but now she's a tranny, you know what I'm saying? And so they tried to make the marriage work. After about 4 to 6 months, they end up getting a big old fat divorce, right? But little did they know, this divorce was going to be the first domino pushed over in a chain reaction of events leading to Christmas. And this was because not a single person moved out of my house. People only started moving into my house because my mom instantly got a rebound. Boyfriend moved up into our house basically instantly, not even a week, same day delivery type of thing, moved up into my house. My transgender ex-stepdad, half-sister's real dad, mom's ex-husband but current roommate also instantly got a rebound, and the chick moved into our house as well, bringing a kid. So now there's 9 people in my house because my brother also has a friend who was living with us at the time. So now we have just about 9 to 10 people on average in our house 24/7. Out of those 9 people, 4 of them are adults. Out of those 4 adults, 0 of them have a job. We are eating off of food stamps and everybody is in there just arguing. It's just toxic as hell because it's 2 divorced people with their new couple in the same house living together. Like it's not a good situation, you know what I'm saying? And it stayed like this for probably a good 6 to 8 months until just about my 8th grade year was starting. Once my 8th grade year started, my transgender ex-stepdad, half-sister's real dad moved out of the house into their own apartment, right? And so now it was just me, my mom, mom's boyfriend, half-sister, and my older brother in this house. Which this wouldn't be a problem, but my mom's new boyfriend was clinically insane. I am fairly sure this dude spent more time in mental hospitals than Taylor Swift has spent on her private jets, which is just astounding in itself. But this dude was manic, manipulative, and so immature. Like my sister, my little sister, she was 7 years old. He was pushing 47 years old, beefing with my little sister. He would grab remotes and all sorts of stuff from around the house, plant it in my sister's room just to discover it and yell at her and tell my mom so she'd get in trouble, even though he was planting it in a little girl's room. Just didn't add up. But there I could go on and on about the things this dude did, but you get the picture. It was not good. He always needed full attention on him, which is why once it started rolling around more to Christmas time, it did not get pretty. And this was because my mom's new boyfriend was an ex-Jehovah's Witness. If you know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, you know it's crazy, but you have to do something insane to get kicked out of the Jehovah's Witness groups. My mom's new boyfriend got excommunicado, kicked out, cut off, all ties lost from that group. I can't even remember what he did because he wouldn't tell us what he did, but he got kicked out of an entire religion. And so he was getting upset once it got closer to Christmas time. And it's not like we were having some type of big old Christmas, you know what I'm saying? I was broke as hell. We had 10 people in our house eating off of food stamps in the food bank. It's not like Christmas was no big deal, but apparently it was still too big for him. And so as it kept getting closer to Christmas, my mom and her boyfriend were fighting more and more and more, and it would involve my little sister as well. So I would have to step in, get my little sister away from it, and mediate the fights. It was a pretty normal thing. But the fights started getting longer and longer and nastier as it got closer to Christmas. They were just fighting for more than half of the day, most days, just screaming at each other, running around the house. And so eventually it hits Christmas. And so I'm wondering how the day's obviously going to be based off of how December has gone so far. And as it hits Christmas, I go outside, I see all my family interacting. The vibes are jolly, good. Everything in the air seems fine. I'm like, this is a little off. Like, this is not normal for how our house has been. Then we go to open our presents, right? What I got for Christmas this year was 5 Sharpies, 4 pairs of scissors, and one of those like candy canes with M&Ms in them, right? Like I said, we were broke as hell. We were not having no big ass Christmas. But after we open up those presents, my mom's boyfriend absolutely loses it for whatever reason, because me, my brother, and my sister, we all got the same shit. We just got Sharpies and scissors and also some fucking M&Ms and a candy cane, right? And so my mom's boyfriend starts getting extremely upset. My older brother went straight back to his room, hopped on Fortnite, started getting baked, doing his usual thing, never leaving his room. My little sister, she's also once again, kind of in the crossfire of the fight because my mom's boyfriend is just absolutely insane. So I get my little sister to go inside of her room. I end up having to lock the door. I put the office on, put it on full blast. I'm like, do not open this door until I come back and unlock the door for you and knock on it. She's like, okay, because it was a pretty normal thing. I had to do it pretty frequently for her. So I go outside. I start trying to deal with the fight. Literally, I'm mediating out on the porch in the desolate cold. They're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth because the thing was they just gotten promise rings for each other, like marriage rings. I don't know. I don't really care either. But they got some type of ring for each other. They were in some type of commitment and they were fighting over it. Turns out my mom grabbed her ring, threw it in the toilet and flushed it down. So they're going back and forth. Nasty old fight. They're drinking more, they're smoking more, they're both fucked up and yelling at each other. And so I'm trying to mediate this sober 8th grade me. I was like 13 at the time. I had no idea what I was doing. And so we're out on the porch, it's cold, they're going in and out, fighting. Finally, I start teaching my mom's boyfriend how to play Minecraft. I'm like, look, you like building shit, let's just build some shit on Minecraft. I go to start building with him. He starts talking shit on my mom. I'm like, look, bro, I am not gonna sit here and listen to you dog on my mom. If you got a problem, let's figure it out straight up, or we can just play this game. he wanted to figure it out, I guess, because he got up, started yelling at my mom once again. So things are going back and forth, back and forth. I'm just sitting there like, am I teaching this man Minecraft? Am I not? Like, I didn't know what was going on. I just got both controllers in my hand, and I'm just sitting here because I'm trying to find any way to get this fight to cool down. Because at this point, they've been screaming at each other for well over 3.5 hours straight. And since my mom's boyfriend was into construction, I figured Minecraft might be a way to cool his ass down, get him to settle down, but it just did not work. So I'm sitting there spacing out. I'm like, how can I stop this fight and be able to just go to bed and know everything is fine? So I'm sitting there thinking about that. That's when suddenly I hear screaming coming from my mom's room. Not yelling screaming, but pain screaming. So I jump up, I'm like, oh hell no, I think he's putting the hands on my mom. So I run up in, I literally kick in my mom's door, jump up in there. I'm thinking my mom's getting beat, so I'm ready to throw some fucking hands. Turns out my mom was the one beating on the boyfriend. He said some shit, my mom gave him a bop, 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 left right combo, fucking bit a chunk out of his shoulder. Dude is gushing blood down his back, he has teeth marks all over him. My mom fucking just gotten on him like a fucking rabid dog. Started biting the dog out of him. So I turn the corner, I round it, and I'm trying to assess the situation now because I have adrenaline flowing through my veins. I'm ready to beat up this dude, but now I'm seeing that he's getting beat on, and it's my mom wearing the pants in the relationship, smacking his ass around. So I'm like, fuck going on right here, right? I'm mad and confused. So I see them, like, I just raised my voice. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You guys need to separate. No, get out on the porch. I'm yelling at them. I'm literally parenting the fuck out of them. And I absolutely despised my mom's boyfriend. I probably hate him more than most people on this planet. Like a lot of things that he did to my mom mentally, I just hate them. I could go on and on about why I hate them, but at the end of the day, nobody fucking cares, right? And so I'm out on the porch. Once again, they're smoking cigarettes. I'm trying to mediate this fight. And eventually they go back inside. They start arguing again. And then that's when my mom's boyfriend just goes taking off, runs down the street. He had no socks on, no shoes on, no shirt on. All he has on is cardigan jorts, or fucking whatever the material is. I'll put a picture on the screen, but he just has jorts on, bleeding down his back and from his head because when he got bit, he fell into the bathtub and smacked his head too. So he's bleeding all up and down his body. Goes to walk down the street, right? It's desolate, freezing cold, -degree winter. I live in North Idaho. There's over 3.5 feet of snow, and he's walking barefoot in this, bleeding. Man just is insane, and he looks insane as he's walking down. So he leaves the house. Part of me is just like, hell yeah, I don't want nothing to do with him. Hopefully he doesn't come back because he said he wasn't going to go back. But then my mom looks all sad. So I go up to my mom like, look, do you love him? Is there anything? I'm talking to my mom. She is literally just acting like a kid. Like, I don't know. She's not even looking at me, just giving me half-ass responses. And so I'm like, do you want me to go get this guy? Do you want me to go get him? And she just wasn't saying anything, wasn't looking at me. But now I'm assessing the fact in my head that if a manically insane person is walking down the roads in -degree weather with no shoes, no socks, no shirt, no nothing besides just shorts and blood, cops are going to see him. They're going to question him, try to take him to the hospital, which means my mom would most likely get charged with assault, a lot of things. Nothing was going to go good if he ended up keeping to walk. So I end up having to sprint down that road, hawk down my mom's boyfriend. It's freezing cold. It's like damn near at least 1 in the morning at this point. We're walking down the roads. I catch up to him like, look, you got to come back home. I talk to him for like 20 minutes walking around. I finally get him to turn around, come back home. After another 30 minutes of mediating, they finally patch things up. My sister's door is still locked. I can hear the office playing. I go over there to knock on the door. That's when I put my hand down. I am so fucking sick of having to deal with just my parents fighting, mediating, all this stuff. Like, I was 13 years old at the time. I didn't want to deal with all this shit. But the thing was, and why I was so pissed at my mom's boyfriend, is my parents were divorced. My dad's house, I fucking despised going there. And you'll find out more about this in my next video. But I loved being at my mom's house until that boyfriend came there. And now I didn't even have an option to stay at my mom's house. So I'm like, fuck this. I am out this bitch. I end up grabbing this bike from the garage. It had one tire that was deflated in the front and just a rim on the back, not a second tire. I end up packing up a bag, hopping on that bike, and just riding out into the sunset. Because at this point, I'm done with this. You know what I'm saying? I finally patched up their fight after at least 7 hours. Nothing is going good. All of them are still going to be upset at me the next day. I know they're going to continue to fight. And it's supposed to be Christmas, a fun day, right? So I'm like, fuck this. I am out of here. I hop on my bike, just start aimlessly pedaling away from the house, right? Because I don't know where to go. I'm just pedaling. Eventually, I pedal for like 2-3 miles. It's starting to get to like 2:30 in the morning or so. And I don't know where to go. I was going to go to my friend's house, but I'm like, I don't really want no one to take me in. It's Christmas. I don't want to have anyone. I don't want to ruin anyone's Christmas with my antics and call him up. But eventually, I'm forced to call up my dad. So I ended up having to go to my dad's and live with him permanently for the next 4 years until I got kicked out, which y'all will hear all about that in the next story. And not even a month after I moved in with my dad, my mom and her boyfriend upped and left the state. They told me and my siblings they were going to Portland, Oregon. They did not go to Portland, Oregon. I can't even remember where they went. They were moving from town to town so fast that you couldn't even keep track of it. Find out the reason that they were doing this was because everywhere they went, they wreaked so much havoc and were so toxic and terrible for each other that no matter where they went, they attracted the police to them, got police calls on them, were in and out of jail together. And then it got so bad that no matter what state they were in, the police ended up having to get in contact with the state's government to get statewide restraining orders on them. Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, maybe more, but those are the 3 I know, have restraining orders on them to the point that they can't be in the same state together. If they are, they will both get arrested, or one of them will get arrested. I'm not entirely sure how the whole thing works, but even if they were at the tip of Idaho and the base of Idaho, they can't be in that same state, no matter, like, it's insane. That's how bad they were together. And so, after probably about 2 years of running around, the states split them up. They have to leave, or they will both go to jail for X amount of time. My mom ends up coming back into town, moving in with my transgender stepmother, ex-stepdad, half-sister's real dad, mom's ex-husband, but now current roommate. And I'm sorry if this is confusing. Everybody gets confused. Try having to talk to school and family members and friends about this as your family. You know what I'm saying? You probably don't, because this shit is way too confusing. I probably have the most confusing family on the face of the earth. Shit does not add up anyway, but this is besides the point. The point is, I might need to become a rapper, because I have heard unbelievable amounts of songs talk about some, you ain't never had no cold Christmas. I had the fucking coldest Christmas. I don't want to hear that shit. But anyway, I really hope y'all enjoyed the fucking Christmas video. You know what I'm saying? Hope y'all have an amazing, jolly, merry motherfucking Christmas. And next story dropping will be about how I got kicked out of my dad's house. Hopefully this will be coming out fairly soon, but I mean, honestly, this video is low-key just fucking easing y'all into that video. It kind of builds off each other. This is good information to have for the next story, but I got lots of stuff coming to y'all. Make sure to like, subscribe, do whatever the hell y'all want to do. You know what I'm saying? Feel up the video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Hope y'all have a beautiful, amazing day, night, year, Christmas, whatever you want to call it, and I'll see y'all in the next one. I hope y'all enjoyed that last video. I mean, it's probably the shortest video I have on my channel, and I didn't even realize this when I was picking the videos for this compilation, but I guess we're doing some type of holiday special because we have the New Year's and birthday story up next. The story of the first time I took acid is coming up, I guess, so stay tuned. Have you ever taken a substance without knowing anything about it? Chances are you might have, but what if I told you when I was 16 years old, I took acid for the first time without knowing anything about it, which led to me sneaking out on New Year's and a whole crazy weird chain of events unfolding. Thank you, Cooper, for sponsoring this video. Are you tired of spending too much money on overpriced products? Well, then you need Cooper. Cooper is a browser extension that scans the internet for every coupon code related to your purchase to make shopping cheaper and easier than ever. Cooper works with over 200,000 merchants and is available on Chrome, Opera, Firefox, Edge, Safari, and even mobile. Cooper is available in most regions around the globe with a user base of well over 9 million people. And Cooper actually cares about their users. Unlike a lot of browser extensions in the past stealing tracking links and other personal information from you for their own financial gain, Cooper offers complete transparency with all of their users, with their whole goal being to make your shopping cheaper and easier than it's ever been. As you can see, Cooper works with just about anything and anywhere. All you have to do is click the extension at checkout and let Copart do the rest. They instantly scan and apply any and every coupon code that they find. They even offer cashback based off of your purchases. If you purchase enough items using Cooper, you can withdraw your cashback onto a debit card, gift card, or PayPal account, meaning you are making money while shopping. With savings and cashback, there is no reason not to use it, and if you want to save more money, use Copart. We got the link at the top of the description or in the comment section, and another big thanks to Copart for sponsoring this video. But now, let's get back to the story. In order to fully understand this story, we need to go all the way back to December of 2021. This was during the first semester of my sophomore year of high school, and at the time, I was grounded. If you watch the story of how I got involved with the FBI at 15, you understand why. This story takes place just about a month after I got grounded for that whole ordeal. But at the time, it was winter break, and since I had no school, I had no choice but to just stay home. And over winter break is obviously Christmas, New Year's, but also my birthday. Since I was grounded, I was missing out on every single one of these holidays besides some of Christmas, and this was around like the 4th year in a row that I was missing all of these holidays, so I was extremely depressed. Today was December 30th, my 16th birthday, but there was no party, no celebration, no friends, no anything, and I hadn't had a true birthday since I was turning like 11 or 12, so I was extremely depressed, more so than usual. And since I was grounded, I obviously didn't have my phone or really any of my belongings, so one day when my dad was at work, I snuck into his room and I stole my old Google Pixel. This phone hadn't been touched in like 4 years. I only ever really stole it when I was grounded because the phone only worked in Wi-Fi. But once it got later into the night, I started texting my friend John on Snapchat, and he was telling me about all his plans for New Year's the next day, saying that he's going over to this kid named Jack's house. Jack was part of my old friend group from the FBI video, and so I was pretty sad because like it's my birthday today and I'm already missing out on that. And now all that my friends are texting me about is all their plans for New Year's, going going to parties, going to all different stuff, and I just couldn't go to any of it. So eventually, I just decided to go to bed because I didn't really want to text anybody and hear about all their plans, and the next day was New Year's. So I woke up and went about my day as usual because I knew my parents were not going to have any plans. Every single day, they would just watch TV until 9:30 and they would go to bed no later than 10 ever. So I knew that they weren't going to do anything besides their normal routine. So as it got later into the night, right about like 8:30 p.m., this is when John texted me on Snapchat. He's telling me that he's at Jack's house and they're about to do acid, and like he's telling me this all excited, telling me nonstop about his plans. But to me, this was a betrayal because John was one of my closest friends. He was like my druggie friend. Whenever we were going to do any substances, we would always try them for the first time together. And for years, we had been talking about doing acid for the first time together. But now, the second that I'm grounded on my birthday and all this stuff, now is when he wants to do acid with somebody else. Since I had already missed my birthday, hearing all this just felt like I was getting kicked while I was already down. So I'm just asking questions, acting like I don't really care what's going on. I'm like, oh, how much did you pay for your tab? This dude, John, is gonna say $10. Out of all the substances I'd done, $10 felt ridiculously cheap to me. So I'm like, whoa, are you serious? You pay $10 for a tab? He's like, yeah, dude, I guess acid is just really cheap. So then I asked what plug he got it from, because I'm figuring it's one of the plugs that me and him typically use. But he's gonna say it's not his plug, it's Jack's plug. So I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. But then he follows that up with, yeah, he actually lives in the apartments directly outside your neighborhood. So now I'm getting this thought in my head of like, okay, well, I obviously have $10 and I obviously got 2 legs, so I can go get acid if I want to. So I asked John to send over the plug, and he does. So now I'm sitting in my room, kind of just contemplating. I'm like, should I do this acid? Should I not? Because like, I know next to nothing about acid. I've taken shrooms like a good handful of times by this point, but I just am kind of assuming that acid is like shrooms. That could not have been a more wrong statement, because this is when I start getting texts and videos from John and Jack, and they're just like, they're showing me like the whole process of like, they took their acid, like the hours passing by, because I kind of just been ignoring it for a second, kind of just sitting there. I didn't want to hear about this. But now I'm seeing all these videos and pictures of them just having a blast, and like, it genuinely just felt like that picture of Squidward staring at the window at SpongeBob and Patrick, and like, I'm sitting here like, damn, I just wish I could be doing this as well, but obviously I can't. So I'm laying in my bed, I'm just staring at my ceiling. And at this point, it's like just about 11 p.m. at night. It's been a couple hours since they sent me those videos. My parents are dead asleep. I'm just sitting in my room until eventually John FaceTimes me. And now he's just, I could tell he's tripping hard as all hell, because he keeps trying to like talk to me, and then he just starts looking around the room, getting lost in some different stuff. And then he starts talking to Jack, and they start laughing, and like, he's genuinely forgetting I'm on the phone, forgetting that he called me. I'm like trying to talk to him like, dude, like, why'd you FaceTime me? You're not like, hello? I keep saying stuff. He's just ignoring me, forgetting that he called me. So eventually, I just hang up on John, because I'm like, this dude is paying me no mind. He doesn't even know he's on the phone. I'm not wasting my time. So I hang up the call, and now I'm just sitting in my room really contemplating if I want acid, because obviously, I want the acid, but I really do not want to risk being caught sneaking out, because like, we had Ring doorbells and all types of stuff. I'm already grounded indefinitely from like everything that happened, so I'm sitting here like, the last thing I need is to be caught sneaking out. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just text the plug, see what happens. So I text the plug, and to my surprise, he responds within like the same minute of my first text. So I'm like, how much for a tab? Sure enough, he says $10. So now I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what? Nope, I'm gonna sneak out. So I text him, I'm like, I'll be there in like around 10 minutes. I won't have a phone though, so I will not be able to text you. I'll just be out in the parking lot. And he's like, okay. So I get up, I grab $10, put on some warm clothes, and I get ready to sneak out. Once I go to sneak out, this dude, like literally his apartment complex was like less than a mile away from my house. So once I snuck out, I started jogging over to the apartment complex. I got over there pretty quickly, but I could not text him that I was there. So like, I'm just posted up in the parking lot, scanning the area. I'm waiting for like 10 minutes. Nobody is walking around this apartment complex, because like, I'm looking for somebody who looks like they'd be selling acid. I'm not even seeing anybody in the entire apartment complex. So I'm like just looking around, I'm getting pretty confused. It's super cold, and I'm like, okay, come on, where is this guy? I cannot text you. Till eventually I spin around and I see some guy walking down the sidewalk, and like, he's looking at me the same way I'm looking at him, like somewhat suspicious, but like thinking this is probably my guy. And like, the closer he gets, the more Discord mob vibes I'm getting, because like, he's got an unmaintained beard, like some greasy hair, and he's like a little bit bigger. And then eventually he just looks at me, he's like, hey, are you him? And I'm like, yeah, that's me, right? So I walk over there, I have the $10 folded up in my hand, and I give it to him in a handshake, grab my tab, and I'm like, all right, appreciate you, have a good night, bro. Turn around to walk away. And that's where he's like, hey, whoa, hang on. Have you heard of like blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This dude's like trying to talk to me about some random video game I've never heard of in my life. So I'm sitting here confused. I'm like, no, I've never heard of the game before. And he's like, what? You've never heard of this? Like, dude, you gotta play this game. You gotta download it. Like, we can play together. And he starts just going into detail. And like, I don't remember exactly what it was because I was just really weirded out. It was like some Elden Ring Dungeons and Dragons-esque game. And like, I was just acting like it's cool. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds dope. Like, I'll look into it when I get home. Have a good night. Start trying to walk away again. And he's like, whoa, hang on. You look like you like Star Wars, right? It's like, I genuinely do like Star Wars, but I'm trying to get home. So I'm like, yeah, Star Wars is pretty cool, right? And he's just like, hey, well, come here. So like, I'm really confused. I'm like, what is this dude talking about? So I like spin around and I start walking like the 5 or so steps back towards him. And he just starts unzipping his jacket. And I'm like, what is happening? And he just unzips the jacket to reveal like a Star Wars A New Hope shirt. And I'm like, cool, man. Like, what are we doing, man? And like, I was so confused about this whole thing because I can't tell if this guy is trying to groom and flash me, if he's really lonely and needs friends, or if he's genuinely just tripping extremely hard off of multiple tabs, which it most likely was the third option, because after he started trying to talk about Star Wars for a second, then he moves in, he's like, yeah, dude, these tabs are actually like some of the best ones I've ever made. And like, I don't remember exactly what UG he said it was. I just know it was fairly high. And so I'm like, oh, that's dope. Like, this is my first time taking acid. And he's like, oh, well, you're about to have a fun night, dude. Just make sure you stay safe. And like, I'm trying to get this conversation over. So I'm like, yeah, I'm actually going to meet up with my friends that you served earlier. Like, we're going to be safe and everything. He's like, wait, you're meeting up with Jack? Like, oh, I love Jack. You got to come over and hang out with us sometime. So obviously, I'm sitting here like, this is never gonna happen. What do you mean Jack is coming over here and just hanging out? Like, I'm so confused about this, but I just lied to him. And I'm like, yeah, maybe next time he comes over, I'll slide with him, but I don't want to keep them waiting. I gotta go. So I instantly just started walking away. He was trying to say something else. I straight up just ignored him, started walking home, because this place was so close to my house, but this plug was so talkative that this whole ordeal took like 40 or 45 minutes, even though it should have only been like 20. And so I start walking home, and eventually I get to my house and sneak back in. Basically, the second I get into my room, I pop that tab and I just start chilling. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a FaceTime John. So I hop on Snapchat, FaceTime him, and like, I got my tongue stuck out with like the tab on it to show him that I'm tripping, just waiting for him to answer. The second he answers, he's with Jack. And like, they both are like, have these big ol' like tripping smiles on their faces until they look at the camera. And this is like literally a half split second, like the quickest switch up I've seen in emotion, from instant laughing and dopamine to they just start going, oh my God, dude, no, you gotta leave. What are you doing, dude? You're stupid. You gotta leave your house. What are you doing? Like, they just are repeating, what are you doing? You're stupid. You gotta leave your house. So I'm sitting here kind of just freaking out because like I said, I did not do any research on acid. I thought that it was basically just like shrooms, just another psychedelic. I had done shrooms in my room so many times. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like, y'all gotta just be tweaking. They're like, dude, no, you are gonna lose control of your body. You do not know what you're gonna do on shrooms. You can't control your voice. You could just start screaming and wake up your entire house, and they just start rambling on and on about all these risks, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, there is no physical way I am going to lose control of my body. Like, y'all are already tripping. You gotta be overreacting, right? And I say that, and then they just start tweaking out and rambling like, dude, no, you're so stupid. You're so stupid. Why would you take acid at this time of night? Like, we are more than halfway through our trip. You are not gonna sleep tonight. You're gonna be tripping for like 13 hours straight. Your dad is going to catch on to you. You have to leave the house. So now I am starting to get extremely anxious about all this because the last thing I need is to get caught on acid. Like, I did not want to sneak out, but I wanted to get caught on acid less. So after probably about 35 minutes on the phone or so, they convinced me to sneak out again, but this time to go to Jack's house. So I'm like, you know what? I don't know anything about acid. Jack does. He's taken acid multiple times, so I might as well take your word for like losing control and whatever the hell's going on. So I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna leave the house. And this is when time genuinely just becomes non-existent. I have no idea what time I like hung up this phone call. I just remember once I got off the phone call, I look up and I'm just sweaty. I'm like super anxious and sweaty, and it kind of feels like my skin is starting to tighten around my body. But I get up, I put on different clothes, and I get ready to sneak out. And this time when I stepped outside, the cold air genuinely did not affect me. It just felt amazing, and I felt like I was ready to just go run around. So I hop over the fence and I get into the road, and at this point I'm starting to run over to this park because John knows that I like don't have any cell service. So we agreed to meet at this park called Bluegrass that was really close to Jack's house. So I'm jogging over there. It's like maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles from my house, and as I'm starting to run, I just start feeling super giddy, super giggly, like I'm ready to just jump around. I am ready to conquer the night. Pretty much the second that I left my neighborhood, I got this random just boost of energy. Like I was ready to just start sprinting around. So that's exactly what I did. I start sprinting right out of my neighborhood towards this bike path. And like at this point, I'm fairly sure it's been just about an hour since I took the acid. So like I'm starting to come up pretty damn hard. And for some reason, the only thing on my mind is how easily dogs breathe, because this air is extremely cold. It's like hurting my nose to try and breathe. And like I'm having a really hard time breathing, a really hard time running, and I'm just like, I just feel like dogs can run forever. And like, none of that's even true. Like, humans have way better endurance and stamina than dogs do, but for some reason, the only thing on my trip in mind was how well dogs can run and endure everything during the winter. Like, I was almost on like one of those like Alaskan dog racing type vibes. Like, I'm on thinking that in my head. So at some point, I started just opening up my mouth to mouth breathe. And like, the second I start mouth breathing, I slowly start sticking out my tongue until I'm genuinely panting like a dog while I'm running. And this is when my arms like move from a running position to like just hanging in front of me, like how a dog stands on their like behind two legs. So the further I get down this bike path, the more my brain is convincing me that dog traits are gonna help with my endurance while running through the snow. I'm like convincing myself that having these dog characteristics is gonna make me get to the park faster and like better. So I'm running down this bike path and I'm genuinely just panting. I'm panting loud as hell, like just like a dog with tongue out the mouth and everything. And this bike path, there was almost always people on it. No matter what time of night it was, you'd see some random chick running, a homeless person, whatever it was, there were people there. So I'm like scanning this entire area looking for people. And this is when like in my head, I start just growling. Like I'm growling and looking around and like, I'm not thinking anything. I'm like genuinely on autopilot, just running down here. I'm looking for people. I'm growling in my head until eventually I'm like looking around and I just bark. Like I bark loud as hell to the point that it shocks my body. I feel a jolt shoot across my body. All of a sudden I stop dead in my tracks, put my arms back down, and I just start looking around. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How did I get here? Like I'm confused how I made it this far down the bike path. The last night, it was almost like a time skip type of thing. Like the last I remembered, I was at like the front, like the start of the bike path, starting to jog. Now I'm almost at the end of it, towards where like this middle school is, about to cross the street. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, how did I get here? Like I am so lost. I'm super confused. But I'm like, okay, I gotta get to Bluegrass. So I start running normally. I'm trying to get to Bluegrass as quick as possible, but I genuinely cannot stay focused for more than like 5 seconds. Like I explained on the bike path, like when I barked, it kind of shocked my body into being like, what's going on? Like, how did I get here? I didn't even remember running this far. That kept happening like more and more frequently the further that I would get. All of a sudden, I would just be like, I'd like kind of wake up in a sense, I guess, and I would be standing in someone's front yard, just like in the snow. There's like a foot of snow in everyone's yards. Like the only places that don't have snow are the path and like the road. And I keep like just like almost waking up and I'm just in the snow looking around like, whoa, 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 how did I get here? Last time I remember I was by Woodland. I was crossing the street. I am so lost. I'm so confused. And then I would just be like, I gotta get to Bluegrass. I gotta run. So I start running. And the more that I run, the more those dog traits pick back up until I'm like growling again. I'm panting again. My arms are up. And then all of a sudden I'd be in someone's front yard again. Like I am so confused. The acid has me on autopilot. And like at this point, I'm starting to see what John and Jack meant by you can't control yourself on acid, because I genuinely just keep getting lost and then like coming back to like my consciousness and being like, I don't know where I am. Why am I in someone's front yard? I gotta get to Bluegrass. And then I would run to Bluegrass and then I would get in someone's front yard. I'd be like, what am I doing? And it was genuinely the most confusing things. Every 5 seconds, I would just like almost wake up, but it wouldn't be 5 seconds. It would be like 5 minutes. But it felt like 5 seconds to me. Time is non-existent and I cannot stay focused until eventually I start seeing the park in the distance. So I'm like, okay, we gotta get to the park. So I continue running, jogging over to the park. Once I get there, I see John in the distance. So I like run up to him and I'm like trying to tell him, like I'm excited as hell to see him. I'm like, dude, I just found the most efficient way to run. Like I'm rambling. I'm like telling him that he needs to try running how I'm running. And I'm rambling trying to talk to him. And it's like, whoa, 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 dude, what are you talking about? What's going on? And like, he like snaps me out of what's happening. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, dude, you've been missing for 5 days straight. And so now I'm like, what do you mean? My brain knows damn well I just left the house like maybe 40 minutes ago. So I'm like, what? I've not been missing for 5 days. What are you talking about? Like, I know for a fact that I did not get here as quick as I should have. I was quite literally just operating off of impulses the entire time I was coming over here. I don't know how long it took me to get to the park, but I know it didn't take me no 5 days, so I say that. And that's when John is just like, no, dude, like, genuinely, you've been missing for at least 4 days, like 4 days minimum, you've been missing. Your dad has been looking for you. There have been multiple search parties. He's going on and on about the fact that I've just been missing and everyone's been looking for me. And so So I am tripping pretty damn hard. But I know for a fact I have not been gone for that long. So I'm like staring at him and I'm like, I gotta be hearing him wrong. Like there's no way this is actually what he's saying. Like this does not seem like the John that I know like talking. So I'm like, what is going on? But right as he's saying that, like, my dad's been looking for me, there's been search parties, I've been missing, that's when right behind him, there's like this street light. The street light goes out the second that he says that. So I see that street light go out, and for some reason, my brain registers that as like, this means everything he said was true. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I've been missing? I've been missing for 5 days? Like for whatever reason, my brain registered that light going out as like, John is telling the truth, all this has been going on. So this is when everything kind of like starts to zoom out. I start tripping really hard, my anxiety starts rising, and then all of a sudden, I open my eyes. I do not remember closing my eyes. All of a sudden, I just open them and I'm staring directly up at the sky. I'm laying flat on my back in the snow and John is standing over me just laughing at like one of the hardest I'd ever heard him laugh. He's laughing so hard that he can't even talk. Like he's trying to say some stuff to me, and even if he could talk, I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, what's happening? How long have I been laying here? Like it feels like I like passed out without my knowledge and all of a sudden just woke up at the park. I'm like, how long have I been here? How long have I been laying down? I am all types of confused. And this is when John is like trying to talk, but he's like laughing way too hard to talk. So he just helps me up until eventually he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, dude. Like Jack did the same exact thing to me. So like I had to do it to you. I couldn't be the only one who like got messed with like this. But I promise you, you have been gone for maybe like an hour. It's only been maybe an hour since like you left the house. So I don't believe what he's saying to me now. I'm like, whoa. What about the light? The light. I start tweaking out, just saying the light. I'm tweaking about this light as if it was God himself confirming everything John just said to be true. And so I'm like, dude, no, right when you were talking, that light went out. And this is when John just gets extremely serious. He stops laughing and he just gets dead serious. He's like, no, like genuinely, dude, I'm not messing with you anymore. I'm so serious when I say this. That light turned off like maybe a minute and a half after I was talking to you. I was telling you that your dad was looking for you and that there was a search parties, and then you just stood there completely frozen for like maybe a minute and a half, and then you just fell backwards into the snow. That is why I was laughing so hard. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, whoa, that's not true. Because that meant that time was non-existent. Time was not working for me. I'm like, that's not what happened, dude. I was responding instantly. That light turned off instantly. Like I am beyond messed up about this because I'm like, time is like one of the only things grounding me to the planet. If time isn't existent, what is going on? So I'm sitting here, I'm lost as all hell, and I'm like, no, dude, that turned off immediately. And he's like, I promise you, it did not, man. Like, I promise you, what I just said is exactly what happened. And so now I'm just sitting here dead silent, like, oh my gosh, I gotta be tripping so hard right now. I'm tripping so hard right now. What the hell? And this is when John's just like, all right, we got to go get to Jack's house. I hope I can find where it is. And I'm like, what? Hope? What do you mean you hope? Do you not know where he lives? He's like, well, I've only been there once and it was during the day. So I tried to have him come with me so we could find the house easier, but he didn't want to leave the house. So I just came to get you alone. So at this point, I am genuinely like the most confused I'd almost ever been in my life. I have no idea where we're going. We're just walking down the street towards where we think Jack's house is. And this entire time we're walking, I am directly next to John, just like kind of talking with him. But randomly, I would just start walking or jogging in a completely different direction, start running through the snow, I would just start kind of like tweaking out to the point where John genuinely just starts grabbing my shirt collar and dragging me wherever it is he's walking. And like by this point, I had completely forgotten about my dog state of mind, like the dog mentality I had going on. But him grabbing my shirt collar made me feel like a domesticated animal. Like before, when I was running around to the park, I was like a wolf, you know, I was ready to conquer the night running around. Now that he's like dragging me by my collar, I feel like a domesticated animal on a leash with no idea where I'm going. So I'm like just kind of getting dragged around. I don't know where we're going. Turns out John doesn't know where we're going either, because like this place is like somewhat suburbia, you know, so there's like some copy and paste houses. All of them are fairly nice though. John was tripping and had never been in this neighborhood at night. So we make like a couple wrong turns. We don't really know where we're going, but eventually we find the house and we walk in. This is when I realized how hard I really am tripping, because when I was walking around outside, everything just looked like very nice, you know, like the snow was all sparkly, it was all reflective, nothing really looked crazy, it all just like looked very interesting and like pretty in a sense. The second that I got inside of Jack's house, I had never been in this house before, but something just felt off. Like everything I was looking at just looked off, looked weird, like something was wrong with it. And like, I don't mean that like I had some crazy, insane visuals type of thing. Like I wasn't really like tripping, but as I'm looking, like it's like everything is like stretched out. Like some things are way bigger than I think they're supposed to be. Some things are way smaller than they're supposed to be. Some paintings are extremely vivid while others are blurry, and like everything just looks extremely off. His hallways look like they're way longer than I know damn well these hallways are maybe like 20 feet, but they look like they're about 50. So I'm like looking at everything and I'm like, what? Everything just looks off. Everything looks stretched out. Everything just looks crazy to me, right? And as I'm like looking at this kind of just in awe, this is when John grabs me and just like drags me up the stairs into this bigger room where Jack was. And once we get in there, there's like 2 lounge chairs, a couch, a TV, and like some miscellaneous things. I don't really remember all that was in the room, but I just remember I went in there and I had my Google Pixel with me. It was about to die, so I brought it with me with a charger and I went and plugged it in behind the couch. After I plugged it in, for whatever reason, I take off my hoodie and my shoes and I go and put them on the complete opposite side of the room. After that, I went and sat down on the couch, and this is when they're like, dude, we have been watching these music videos and they're the trippiest things I've ever seen. And this is when they went and put a Du Bois music video on the TV. At least I think it was Du Bois. I'm not entirely sure on this one, but once they put this music video on the TV, it was at that moment I understood why the government used acid for MK Ultra and mind control, because this TV was injecting dopamine into my brain. I'm staring at this and like I can feel the happiness rising. My ears are like making this weird vibration noise and like my mouth is just hanging wide open. I am sucked into this TV and nothing can stop that. And like I'm staring at this TV and like the more that I'm looking at this like music video tripping out, everything on the walls is starting to move around and like everything just looks extremely weird and I'm like genuinely tripping the fuck out. And this is when I like would look over at the walls like at what I was tripping at and it would just stop. Like it would just turn normal. I'm like, what the hell? Look back at the TV and it would start doing the same thing. And like, I'm tripping so hard at this point until all of a sudden I just hear Jack and John start laughing loud as all hell. And so that like snaps me out of the somewhat trance I was in. And I snap my head over and like, look at them, right? And I'm just looking at them confused. And this is when they're like, dude, we've been asking if you want to hit the pen for the past 2 minutes. And I'm like, what? Really? Cause like, I did not hear a single thing. I'm locked into this music video. All I hear is the music. I don't even believe that they had to have been asking quietly is what I'm thinking. They're like, no, we've been yelling at you if you want to hit the pen. And this is when John and Jack just start going, nah, dude, you're tripping hard as hell, man. You're messed up, bro. You're tripping hard as hell. They just start repeating that over and over again. And as they're saying this, John just starts handing me the pen. So I grab the pen and go to hit it. And he's like, dude, it is the weirdest thing. Like, you do not feel the pen whatsoever when you hit it. Like, I don't even know how it works. So like, I grab the pen and I rip it for like a good, like what I thought was about 4 seconds, blow it out. And I genuinely like don't feel anything in my throat. So I'm like, maybe I just didn't hit it that long. So I hit it for another like good 4 or 5 seconds or so. And the battery starts blinking. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, there is no way I just took a blinker. This was literally like 4 seconds, right? And so I look up, blow out the smoke. There's this big old cloud of smoke. And this is when Jack looks at me. He's like, yeah, dude, the blinker on that battery is like 15 seconds. You're about to be fucked up. Cause like what they didn't tell me is weed enhances acid like crazy. I did not know this. I thought that I was just tripping and then smoking. I did not know it was about to enhance my trip. They tell me that and I will never forget this. Cause after this, they put on the aw shit like lyric video by Shoreline Mafia. That thing was the craziest, like it was crazier than the music videos. I was watching this with my jaw to the floor and like this is genuinely when I started peaking. I was tripping so hard. We're just watching this music video, laughing, passing the pen back and forth. And I have no idea how long we were in this room watching music videos for, cause like I kept looking at the TV and then I would just like put my head back and stare up at the ceiling and I was genuinely just a vegetable with visuals. Like I'd put my head back and I'd be staring at the ceiling just genuinely laughing to myself, cause like I kept having these looping thoughts where I just kept like having the same thoughts over and over again, but every time it would loop, I would remember less and less of what I was trying to think about, and like it's super confusing to even try to explain, cause these thoughts did not even make sense, but they just kept looping in my head until eventually I'd be like, wait, what am I thinking about? I'd have no idea what's going on, so I'd snap back into reality. But like right after that Shoreline Mafia video played, that's when I put my head back, had them same looping thoughts going on until all of a sudden I like snapped out of it and went and looked at the TV. I just like very quickly lifted my head up, looked at the TV, and once my eyes were on the TV, my head did not move, but my head moved like 3 times. It's so weird to explain because like I'm looking at the TV and my head does the same movement. Like with my eyes on the TV, I see myself look over like 3 different times. It was like an overlay over it. It's like impossible to explain. I'll have to like edit how it looks, you know? But this shit kept happening. So I'm like looking around and every time I move, it happens like 3 times. So I look over at John and I'm like, whoa, this shit is crazy. And then he just like starts yelling. He's like, dude, why are you yelling? And I'm like, what do you mean? I could not control my voice. This is when I realized like it's genuinely a good thing that I left the house, because apparently I was either screaming or whispering and like I thought that I was talking completely normal. And after that, I kind of just remember that we got up from the room and we started walking around the house just like doing random stuff. I even went into the bathroom and was like looking at myself in the mirror, but the person, like the me in the mirror did not feel like me. This motherfucker seemed evil, like genuinely he was not doing what I was doing, and it kind of just scared me, so I got up out there real quick. I did not know what was going on with that. Then I met back up with them, and like I genuinely do not have a recollection of what we were doing around the house. I just remember we were running around the house doing some random stuff until eventually we went back into the room and went to go watch more music videos. So I sit down on the couch, and at this point, it's probably been at least like 4 hours since I dropped my tab. I really have no idea though, because like this time period is the most gray area of all of my memory of this night because of all like the pen rips and everything. I was genuinely just tripping dick. And at this point, I lean my head back, I'm staring at the ceiling, and I'm just smiling big as hell. And at this point, I start hearing this grinding noise start up, just like this weird, like, just, I don't know, like some electronic type noise, like starting up, kind of grinding around. And I'm like, I'm confused about it until all of a sudden the massage feature of this couch turns on. So I'm sitting here like, oh, you rich bastard, you really got a massaging couch? Like, I am having the time of my life sitting right here. And so at this point, I like look up to go say something about the couch. And when I go to like look up, I turn and my eyes are on them. I look over at them 5 times. Once again, everything's just repeating itself. And this is when they like jump up and they look super freaked out. John and Jack both. They jump up, turn their heads at each other. And I literally, every single thing is happening 5 times. I watch them jump up and look at each other 5 times, like overlaid upon each other. And like, I'm so disoriented. I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, I'm going to say something about the massaging couch. And that's what they're like, dude, his mom's here. You gotta go. His mom's here. And I'm like, whoa, what do you mean? What about the massage couch? And they're like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? So I'm like, the massage couch, it just turned on. And they're like, are you dead ass? That was the garage door. The garage door just opened. His mom is home. You gotta go. And so I'm like, whoa, what? His mom's home? I gotta go? They're like, yeah, get your stuff. So I jump up from the couch. I'm trying to grab all my stuff as quick as I can, but it genuinely just feels like my vision is delayed. I have to wait for all 5 of those visions to lock into one vision before I can genuinely see exactly what's going on. Like, it's so confusing to even explain. And as I'm trying to like grab all this stuff, that's when I hear Jack just going, oh my gosh, no, what time is it, dude? What time is it? How is she home right now? Because apparently his mom was like at some type of New Year's party. I'm pretty sure he thought she was staying the night there or something, but now it's like close to 5 in the morning and she's just now getting home. So like, dude, you gotta go. So I'm like, okay, I grab all my stuff and I just take off running, right? I don't know what possessed me to like do what I did. I got lost upstairs. And like genuinely, you cannot get lost from this thing because the second you open the door of the room we're in, the stairs are directly there to the left. Like they're literally the first thing you see to the left. For some reason, I started sprinting down like the, I don't even know what to call it. It was like a platform with a railing outside of the stairs and I just booked it into some random room. And then I was like, wait, why am I in someone's room? And that's when John comes out. He's like, dude, what are you doing? You gotta go home. So he grabs me, like basically throws me down the stairs. So I go running straight out that front door and I start trying to run home. But for some reason, the second that I like got onto his front porch and the front door closed on me, I just stopped dead in my tracks and started like kind of spinning in circles because like I'm holding my hoodie and my shoes just like in my chest. I don't have anything on besides like my shirt and pants, obviously. And I'm just sitting there spinning in circles because for whatever reason, the second I got to this porch, everything just flew out of my brain. Like they're telling me that I gotta leave, I gotta go home, his mom cannot see me. Once I got to the porch, for some reason my brain flipped that into I gotta wait for his mom to go to bed. They're about to come open the door and let me back inside. So I'm like, I gotta wait for them to come get me. So I'm standing on this porch holding everything. My mouth is wide open. I'm like spinning in circles. I'm like genuinely just in la la land. It's just like, okay, I gotta wait for him to let me in. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't know how long I was out there. I think for about like 10 minutes, I'm just spinning in circles till all of a sudden I see the Ring doorbell lit up directly in front of me. Once I see that, I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, what am I doing? I gotta go home. His mom can't see me. How long have I been here? And I don't know what's going on. I'm like, I gotta go. So I instantly just take off running. I don't have my shoes on. I don't have my hoodie on. I'm just holding it against my chest, sprinting through front yards. There's like a foot of snow in these front yards, and I'm just running it in just my socks. Just barefoot running through all this snow. I get across like maybe 3 or 4 yards until all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? There's no snow on the sidewalk. I have shoes I can put on. So I'm like, I gotta get myself together. I gotta pull myself together. So I walk over to the sidewalk. I start putting on my shoes, putting on my hoodie, and that's when it hits me. Me and John went through the front door when he came and got me. Even my tripping brain is like, how can the mom not know I'm here if the Ring doorbell clearly has us like here? My footsteps are in the front yard. Like, obviously she's gonna know that I was here no matter what.
And like, even my tripping brain was thinking about this as I'm trying to put on my shoes. And like, I know for a fact that my socks have got to be soaking wet and cold, but I genuinely cannot feel it. So I put on my shoes, I put on my hoodie, and I just start running because I have no idea where I am. I just know down the street is the park, and I know where the park is. So I start sprinting over to the park, and once I get there, I know where I am. So I kind of relax. I don't really feel like running, so I just start walking around. And like, I am genuinely walking like a tweaker. I'm not walking like a normal person whatsoever. I'm moving my jaw around all weird, and I'm just laughing to myself extremely loud because I have so many thoughts going through my head. Like, there's millions of thoughts flowing through my head to the point where they keep cutting each other off, and I can't even finish a thought, and then I just start laughing. And like, I'm trying to walk home over to this road that leads to the bike path. Whole time I'm walking there, I keep having like, because I'm not having like these crazy visuals to an extent. I'm just having these like hallucinative thoughts that I think are real and actually happening until I snap out of the thoughts, and I'm like, whoa, how far have I walked? Like, I just am like genuinely tripping so hard. I'm so confused, but not in a bad way. Like, I'm enjoying the hell out of this. I was genuinely having the time of my life, like the most euphoric feelings I'd ever had. Like, I'm going down this bike path and I just got this big old smile on my face. Like, I'm starting to understand the tweaker mentality, the tweaker mind state. I'm starting to understand all the homeless people I'd see throughout all types of cities walking around, like I'm like, I could be that person. I would not mind this life. Like, I'm walking down the bike path just thinking about I could easily be a tweaker. Like, I would love this type of life. And like, as I'm going down this thought spiral, that's when the trippiest thing of my entire life happened to me, because like, as I was explaining, I wasn't really like having these crazy visuals, because like most of the stories you'll hear about acid, people start saying like, oh, they like start imagining like talking unicorns or zebras, or like they just start imagining weird stuff coming up to them and like talking to them. I was not having none of that. I was like having some light visuals, stuff was like moving around for me, but most of my like quote unquote hallucination type stuff was genuinely just thoughts in my head, just like this random weird stuff, right? But as I'm walking down this bike path, all of a sudden it starts to like stretch out. Like, the whole thing starts to just get long as all hell. Like, everything's getting bigger, it's stretching out, and I'm looking at it and I'm really confused, because this is not like the thoughts that I was having. Like, I feel extremely weird. I'm watching the bike path stretch out to the point that I stop dead in my tracks. I'm like, what is going on? I start trying to open my eyes like as wide as they can go and like try to refocus them, because I did like this, I feel like it's in my head, but the more I open my eyes, I'm like, whoa, this is genuinely happening right now. What is going on? And like, the path kept stretching out until at the end of it, all of a sudden I saw these houses that I recognized. And the thing is, there is 0 houses on this bike path. It's literally just a path that goes between some businesses and eventually stretches out into like some fields. There is not any houses, but I'm seeing this path stretch out, and then all of a sudden, once it's done stretching out, I see that there's 2 houses and like just a cul-de-sac type of thing. Once I see the houses and recognize them, it's like my vision just jumps straight forward about 100 yards over to where the houses actually are. This is when I see just like this bright light. It's fire. There's a bunch of people, like a mob of at least like 30 or 40 people, all holding stuff that's on fire, and then in front of the mob there are these 2 little kids just sobbing their eyes out, crying, right? And then there's like 2 adults like talking to the kids, trying to console them, asking what's going on. That's when the kids, like through their tears, both just look up and just point at me. This shook me to my core, because I knew exactly what these houses were. I knew exactly why these kids were like pointing at me. I knew what was going on in my tripping mind, because the thing is, those 2 houses, the reason I recognize them is they're from my neighborhood. They don't actually live in a cul-de-sac. They're directly across the street from each other. And like, I used to sneak out a lot, and when I'd sneak out, I was always on a lot of drugs, as you can tell from this story here. And me and my friends, when we'd sneak out, we'd go past these 2 houses. We'd always get the bright idea, because one of the houses had all types of kids' toys in it. They would have like play houses, you know, basketballs, just like all types of different toys, cars, just kids' toys throughout their yard. Me and my friends would get the bright idea that we should steal all these kids' toys, but not necessarily steal them, but move them to one of the neighbors' yards across the street, because the neighbors also had kids. So I'd be doing this so we'd start beef between the 2 families and between the kids, so that way they'd fight. Me and my friends did this probably at least 12 times, like minimum, 12 times minimum. We did this for genuinely no reason whatsoever. We would not even be able to see the families like arguing. They lived on the opposite side of my neighborhood. We never saw them fight. We never saw anything happening. We genuinely were just doing this for no reason, and it was pretty fucked up, to be honest. But as I'm seeing this mob of people marching towards me, all of them have pitchforks that are on fire. They're all screaming. The kids are crying. They're marching towards me, and like, I see that and I'm like, oh God, I'm caught. I'm caught. They know it's me. They know I stole the stuff. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. I start genuinely freaking the fuck out. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I'm caught. So I turn around and I start running away from the mob, right back down the bike path that I like was just walking up. And I don't really remember what happened because like as I'm running, I'm freaked out. I'm trying to move as quick as I can. I either like tripped on something or slipped on some ice. All I know is I started rolling down the side of the bike path and like down into the snow. I'm rolling through the cold on the snow until all of a sudden I'm on my back staring at the sky again, and it's dead silent now. I'm like, wait, what? Like it was so loud in my ear. I'm nonstop hearing the people screaming, hearing the kids crying. The second I'm on my back, it is dead silent. So I get back up. I look around. The bike path is completely normal again, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Now I'm even more messed up because I'm like, was that genuinely in my head? I'm so confused. I'm like, you know what? No, I just need to get home. I need to get home right now. This is bad. So I get up from the snow, start walking down the bike path again. And like, as I'm walking, I'm getting closer to the road I need to be at. This is when my headphones start playing music. The song that started playing was Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. And like at this point in time, Blinding Lights was the #1 trending song. I genuinely could not escape it. It was playing everywhere and overplayed to the point the song genuinely just annoyed me and I refused to listen to it. But tonight, this song was like crack. Like genuinely, this song came on and I don't think I've ever enjoyed a song as much as I was at this moment. That song started playing and it felt like crack hitting my brain straight away. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could not control my body. I started dancing instantly. I instantly started moving around. I'm spinning in circles. I am dancing all around and like I'm moving my jaw in all types of weird positions. Like this song is making me fully embrace the tweaker mind state. Like I felt like I had some like shackles holding me down, trying not to tweak out. That song comes on and I just break out into dance. I'm spinning in circles. I'm moving my jaw around. And at this point, I am crossing the street of a main road while just spinning in circles, dancing around, like singing the song. And I just start shadow boxing. Like I'm genuinely just moving my arms. I'm moving my entire body. Every single movement that I do feels like genuine ecstasy going through my body. Like this is the most euphoric feeling I have ever had in my life. I'm shadow boxing, I'm moving around, I'm genuinely just tweaking out down the road until all of a sudden I start to think about it. I'm like, whoa, wait. Where's the music coming from? Because I don't actually have headphones on. I don't have a speaker. And that's why I start like tapping my pockets. I don't even have my phone. And I'm like, whoa, I don't have my phone. And like right as I make the realization that this music is not actually real and it's like coming from my head, it starts to like fade away and the music is no longer there. So I stop dancing. I'm like, whoa. I left my phone at John's house. So I'm starting to tweak out. Oh, no, I don't have my phone. So I'm like, I can't go double back for it. Like I'm outside of my neighborhood right now. I'm like maybe 2.5 minutes walking to my house. So I'm like, I can't get my phone. This is the problem. And then I'll start looking around. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on a main road right now. If a cop sees me genuinely dancing, tweaking out on the street, I am so lucky there's no cop. I need to get home. So I start walking into my neighborhood and like all that I'm thinking about is how genuinely fucked up I am because I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I have to sneak into my house. I'm 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes away from sneaking into the house. I'm dancing around the road like I need to lock in, dude. My dad is going to catch me. I don't even know if I can get in the house quietly. So like I'm walking down the road and I'm just trying to turn into like a gray human. I'm trying to turn into like just like the average Joe, but like all I want to be is a tweaker. I got so many emotions I'm trying to bottle up, but the more I bottle them up, the more they want to escape. I just want to dance in the night. I just want to run around. I just want to feel the air on my face, but I need to lock in. I need to get home. So I'm walking down the road and I'm just thinking, because I'm like, I know for a fact my phone is still charging behind the couch at John's house. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. Because like I told them I was going to text them, but obviously I can't text them that I'm home if I don't have a phone. So I'm like, this is all around bad. I just need to get inside. So I'm walking through the neighborhood. I'm trying to lock in as hard as I can. And it's like, it's genuinely so like hard. It's almost impossible. But eventually I see my house down the street. So I'm like, okay, it's time. So I start trying to walk as quiet as I can, trying to act as normal as I can, and I get over to this gate to hop it. I had hopped this gate 1,000,000 times, perfectly silently, like I was basically a master at it type of thing. I go over there, it's like I forgot how to work my limbs because I put my arms on top of the gate to go and hop it, and then all of a sudden, I just like go to lift myself up, I just slam into the gate. It starts shaking, it makes so much noise, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I literally just flop over the gate. Like, I don't even want to say I hopped the gate, like I still technically landed on my feet. I didn't really fall over it, but it was not hopping over the gate. I basically just flopped over the gate, somewhat landed on my feet and hands. I was like, okay, I gotta get inside. Because that made so much noise, I'm like, that probably woke up the dog. So I sprint upstairs, go straight into my room, and I'm just dead silent. I have got absolutely no idea what time I got home. I just know it was like probably somewhere around 6 or like 7 in the morning because the sun wasn't like up yet and my dad also was not awake. So it couldn't have been anything past like 7 o'clock. So once I got there, I got in my bed and I'm just laying down. I feel weird as all hell because I'm just trying to act normal, but I'm tripping super hard still. And the other thing is like the carts that we had at the time and the cart that Jack had that we were hitting was a street cart. This was not like real weed. They were almost always cut with something, laced with something. They were not actual weed. So like the come down from these carts genuinely just felt like a different drug. We would always talk about, be like, dude, I think come down's like a different drug, dude. Like this just feels so terrible because it would drain all of your energy, make you start crashing, plummeting down. I would genuinely be on the come down from those street carts doing a somewhat fent fold type of thing. Like these carts were not good. And so as I'm sitting in my bed, I'm getting less and less high and I'm like just crashing down. My energy is plummeting, but the acid wants me to stay awake. The acid still wants to party. So I'm like laying in my bed and I'm like fighting an upper and a downer type of situation. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I just need to go to bed. I can't be up right now. I don't want my dad to catch me on acid. I just need to try to sleep. So I kept trying to go to sleep and acid does not let you sleep. So like I'm falling asleep for like 30 minutes or so. I'm guessing, like I genuinely don't know how long it is. I would fall asleep and I would just like genuinely hallucinate these fever dream, like the trippiest dreams of my life. It genuinely looked like some AI generated type of thing. And I would like just have these hallucination, like fever dreams for about 30 minutes. And then I'd wake up and I would be tripping hard as hell. And I'm like, what is going on? Like it was genuinely just the most confusing loops of my life because I'd sleep for 30 minutes, be up for 10. Sleep for 30 minutes, be up for 10. Sleep for 30 minutes, be up for 10. And every time that I'm going to bed, it's genuinely just some AI generated fever dream that makes zero sense. I don't even remember what these dreams were. I just remember every time I woke up, I was even more confused until eventually I woke up for the final time. The sun was starting to go up and I remember it was somewhere about like 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that. And I finally just decided I'm gonna get up and start my day. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the story, I was grounded from literally every single one of my belongings, but for my birthday, my dad decided to let me have my PlayStation again. So once I was like somewhat awake, I don't know what made me come to this conclusion, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go hop on the game. I should have stayed in my room. Like there was no reason for me to go out of my room, but like I don't know what was going on. I decided to get up. I'm like, I'm gonna go get on my PlayStation because like my mind state was like, if I'm on the game, maybe like I could be freaking out about the game and it won't seem like I'm on acid. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go out there. But I knew my dad was awake. So I get up, I get dressed, I take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to face my dad. I'm gonna have to face my dad. I know he's gonna be out there. I'm gonna have to talk to him. So I open up the door and my dad is like literally standing like maybe 5 feet away from my door, like near the kitchen. And he just looks directly over me. He's like, oh, you're up early. Like, what's up? And I'm like, I'm gonna go play the video games. And he's just, and like, I literally say it exactly like that. I'm like, I'm gonna go play the video games. And then I just like, my mouth is just hanging open. He's looking at me and he's just like, oh, okay, turns around. And like, I don't know why the fuck he did not think this was weird. Cause not only did I never play video games, not only did I never wake up early, but it's like 7:38 in the morning and I'm going downstairs to play video games. And like my dad doesn't think this is weird for some reason. So I'm like, okay, I gotta get downstairs. So I walk past my dad, I start going down the stairs. And at this point, all I'm thinking about is I'm like, oh my gosh, how does he not know I'm on acid? How does he not know I'm on acid? Because like, I'm not tripping really. Like I don't have any visuals, you know, but like I still have acid brain. My entire body, I still feel weird. I still know that I'm on acid, but I can tell that I'm like on the come down, like pretty hard, crashing down. As I'm thinking about like this, walking down the stairs, I'm like, how did I not get caught? How did I not get caught? All of a sudden, I just start talking. I don't have control over what I'm saying because I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about talking. I'm just thinking in my head. And all of a sudden, I just literally yell up to my dad. I'm like, oh yeah, are we still going to the farm store later? I don't know what the fuck a farm store is. I didn't even know I said this until it was too late and like the words were already out. So I'm just literally frozen in place on the stairs. My body is getting super hot and I'm like, oh my God, why did I say that? Why did I say that? Did I actually say that? Like I'm having a hard time even knowing if like I cut myself off in my head or if I actually said those words. So I'm sitting here and I'm just waiting for my dad to respond, He is not saying anything though. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go downstairs. So I start like walking downstairs and like to this day, I still have no idea if I actually said that, if it was a thought, if my dad didn't hear me. I have no idea what happened. I just went downstairs and like, once I got downstairs, I loaded up my PlayStation and I started to get on Rocket League. Once I was getting on Rocket League, I decided to put on some Spotify in my headphones as well. The first playlist that pops up was like the just top like 100 trending songs in the USA. So I just pressed shuffle play on that. The first song that's gonna play is Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. So that starts coming off, and now I'm actually hearing this, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I start like moving around. I'm like, oh yeah. I start dancing again. I'm like, yeah, this is the song, this, that, shit, this, that. And then all of a sudden, my dad walks downstairs. Like, he rounds the corner from the stairs, and he's like, what are you doing? What is going on? And I'm like, oh, the game is just like getting really intense. Like, the game is really, really intense. I look back over, I'm still on the loading screen, like loading into the lobby. And so my dad looks at me really, really weird. He's like, oh, okay. And just walks into the garage, grabs something from the garage, walks back in, goes upstairs, and like, I genuinely have no idea how I did not get caught. I was acting so weird, and like, I don't know like why my dad didn't think any of the stuff I was doing was suspicious, but I never got caught. And this is exactly why you should never take a substance without knowing what you're getting into. I had no idea what acid was. I thought it was like mushrooms, and I had a very rude awakening to the fact that it was not. I have no idea how I made it to Jack's house. I have no idea how I made it home. I have no idea how I didn't get caught. Like, this entire night was honestly just sheer luck, and like, I'm so lucky I didn't run into cops, any of it. And like, eventually though, winter break was over. I still obviously did not have my phone because I left it at Jack's house. So I'm trying to go to school to find John so I can get my phone back, because I know for a fact that he would have it out of both of them. So once I get to school, I'm trying to find him. I'm gonna have random people, not random people, but a bunch of like friends that I know just randomly coming up to me being like, what? You're okay? I thought you were in juvie. Like, I thought you went to jail. I thought you were lost. Like, people are going on and on, like saying they thought I died. They thought I was in juvie. And so I'm like super confused. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what happened? Apparently, Jack and John did not think I was gonna make it home. They started posting on their stories being like, guys, if you see Owen like say something, they genuinely start putting basically like missing person reports, quote unquote, onto Snapchat stories saying that I'm missing, I'm gone. Like, they thought I died. They thought I was gonna turn up in a ditch. And like, this whole thing is just so confusing to me, because I'm like, y'all were tripping too. Y'all don't even know why the fuck they were out posting that. I was so lost on that. But eventually, I find John, get my phone back. He's like fucking super happy that I'm okay, obviously, because I'm like, dude, why did you even think I was gonna die? Like, you could have walked me home if you thought it was that bad. He's like, well, no, we couldn't leave the house, man. Like, I couldn't be doing any of that. And so I'm staring at this dude, and I'm like, yeah, I'm never taking acid again. This is the genuine time I found out that shrooms are for me and acid is never getting touched again. Thank you all so much for watching to the end of the video. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe, because I have a lot more stories coming very soon. And we also officially have the stories up on Spotify. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link in the description. The episodes are up just as podcasts, but the videos are still there. So link will be in the description for that. But I feel like this story is a perfect example of, if you're gonna do stupid shit, at least research the stupid shit you're gonna do. Because like, genuinely, we have phones, we have technology. There's no need to jump into stuff blind. If you're gonna make stupid decisions, at least do the research behind the stupidity, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's smarter to just avoid it altogether. Don't be doing nothing you see me doing in the videos, but if you are, at least do yourself the favor of research and stuff. Make sure you're doing everything safe, because genuinely, this night could have ended a whole lot different, and I could have saved myself all of that by just Googling one simple thing, you know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all are being safe out there, but I really appreciate all y'all supporting my content, supporting anything I do, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, whatever the case is. We will be having a second YouTube channel opening up very soon as well, so I guess I'll also leave a link for that down in the description. But once again, big shout out to Cooper for sponsoring this video, and I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Appreciate all of y'all who made it to the end of the video. If you enjoy story content like this, be sure to subscribe, because we have a lot more coming to the channel, but I will see y'all in the next video.